Hello, hello. What's up, chat? Alright, we're gonna get right into this because we have a tight schedule today. What's up, everybody? METAGAMESGX here. Oh no, there's no transition. How's everyone doing? Happy Monday. Start to our new week. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone had a good weekend. We are here to recap my regional run with Branded that I recently just had. I had a lot of people asking me how I did, and I'm really surprised because I usually post these things to Twitter, so if you're not already following me on Twitter, which I know a lot of people are not, make sure to follow me on Twitter because I always post my regional updates there. I had like 20 people messaging me yesterday. It was crazy. Yeah, how's everyone doing? What's up? First here, Risen Cartesia. What's up? What's up? RJ King Pants. What's up? What's up, GZ1K? Doughnuts, how's it going? Liquid Racks. I have a question. Is Branded Dark Magician good? I mean, maybe with the new support, I think because you get 2 Omni Negates out of the Azamina package now because of the new Dark Magician support, so it's not bad, and you don't have to run too many bricks, so definitely makes Azamina better. I don't know, like, you know, the old Dark Magician cards are pretty bad, so, like, they need some more, like, better support to make it more of a Dark Magician deck. What's up, Long John, Mermal King in the chat? How you doing? How you doing? We gotta make that combo video one of these days, brother. Been very busy this last week, as you know, though. How is it going, Chris? It's going well. Doing better. After a tough week last week. And I had a pretty good time at the regional. I got to see friends. I got to meet some viewers from the channel, which was really cool. I got to sign someone's Branded playmat, which was, he had like the nicest Branded playmat ever too, so that was really cool. Shout out to him. Got to meet it, like it's really cool, man. Like, because when people like are like, hey, you know, I watch your videos, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I was like, are you on Branded today? They're like, no, we're on something else, and it's like, I understand. So it's really cool that people you know, still watch the channel even if they don't play Branded. So that's always the best part of honestly events, is getting to meet people, as always. I did pretty well up until I didn't at this event, so we'll talk about that. And then also we're going to do a top 16 interview with the Dutch Nats, my man Marco, who topped Dutch Nats, got top 16. This happened about 2 weeks ago, but I did want to, I realized he never did a deck profile. He only posted the list, and I've been wanting to bring him on the channel anyways, so I want to talk to him about his list and other things like that. I also do want to talk about, obviously, and we're going to do a larger discussion on Branded, so that's going to be a very good, we're going to do that in about an hour, so I'm going to, or probably less than actually an hour. So, yeah, I'm going to have to do this deck list fairly quickly in the recap, but I mean, hey, I was only in 4 or 5 rounds, so, like, I mean, it was an 8-round regional, and then I ended up dropping at round 5. Or after round 5. I could have went further. I could have probably just X2'd it all, but I had an unfortunate error on my 5th game that cost me the whole match. So, like, that just kind of tilted me out. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even have my invite, so that was, you know, probably not the best thing to just drop at that point. But, you know, I think besides that, I think the list was very good. So I did want to at least highlight that and show people the list who have not seen it, because I did release it for the members only, as a little surprise perk. You know, if you're a channel member, that's what I give y'all. You guys get the early deck list, obviously, before anyone else. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about the deck list and do that right now. All right. I love this new webcam, I'm not gonna lie. Battle Ram, what's up? What's up? Philip Mundell, how's it going? While it's not having social media as a death sentence in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, yeah, I'm like, if you have Twitter or Facebook, it really definitely cuts you off, and YouTube too, because like I feel like the Yu-Gi-Oh community, there's like 3 separate Yu-Gi-Oh communities in both of those settings, honestly. I recommend having them all, but obviously some people don't like social media is kind of toxic at the end of the day, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. Oh no, not the spooky dogwood. We'll talk that. I did win a game because of this card. It was not in time. It was not in time. I had one of the best game twos of my life ever because of spooky dogwood, and I cannot wait to tell you guys about that. So definitely, we're gonna go over the list and then we'll go over the matchup. So stay tuned for that. I played really well, and that's why I was so disappointed when I lost, because I basically like just got a technical thing wrong. It wasn't even like a gameplay thing. So not going to get into specifics, but essentially I basically fumbled, you know, the win on that one. So you know, it was my first IRL tournament in a while, so you know, I'm at least happy that like the games I did play and actually like give myself, you know, didn't just like fumble because of a not in gameplay error. You know, I played very well, and I thought the list was great. I only bricked once, and that's the game. Well, yeah, so I technically bricked twice in a row in one of the games, but we'll talk about it because that was a siding error. Like, I should have never. But also, it won me the game. It's genuinely one of the most insane game twos of my life. That's why I want to go over it. Like, no one's gonna get what I mean. I probably sound insane recounting it, but it genuinely was just. It was against a Mitsurugi Ryzeal player, and I don't know. It was an insane game. I'm not gonna lie. So shout out to that player. Very nice guy. And once again, all my. Well, okay, so yeah, no, we'll get into it. All right, so we have that. We have got that. Bestials. Albaz engine, non-engine. Yeah, no, the non-engine package was very good, though. I'm gonna have to talk about this. This, I feel like, needs to be standard in, like, basically every branded deck going forward. The Perubilias were insane. Like, Perulia was absolutely crazy over the weekend, and I kind of see why that card is going way up in price. It's definitely, you know, besides the fact they just kind of messed up the reprinting on it, you know, it's just so good right now. It's genuinely what you need, and it's good against every single deck essentially right now. I want to talk about Spooky Dogwood though, because this is a card that I feel like is actually way better for branded than I originally thought it was. I talked about this in the members only video, but this card essentially I think should probably be been ran and branded for like the last year, honestly, ever since branded fusion went to 1. Because and even before that, because your game, if you lose die roll, you are guaranteed to go to time, right? Because like if you lose die roll game 1, you are not guaranteed to win that game 1, and if you don't, then you have to win game 2. You probably do because it's branded, you play through infinite hand traps, but then game 3, it's like that you could be at 40 minutes when you go to game 3. It happens a lot. I remember that happened at my round 1 against at YCS Raleigh, I think it was. Played like an insane just technical play match against Fire King when OSS was out, and I went to time by game 3, and he just won because he was able to, you know, I think we tied. It was something like that. I don't know, but this I think should be ran. But also, you can just OTK with this card. You can be like, okay, game 2, Dogwood, you can't kill me. Okay, branded like Super Poly branded fusion, like. Honestly, this card has a ton of utility in branded, and I literally won a game because I had that situation in game 2 where I drew this like 25 minutes on the clock, and I bricked. So I had to pass on like Albaz Super Poly, and then I essentially like dogwooded him after he cleared my board. He wasn't able to OTK me under dogwood, so he set up a big board, and then I just OTK'd him. Like, because he couldn't kill me. It was... This card is actually... I see, like... Yeah, no. I see why people ran it. So we're going to talk about that. I mean, I basically just told the story right there, but... What's up, Baby Otter? How's it going? What's up, Long John? Where'd you get the mat? I need to get my hands on one of those. It is a... It's a Yggdrasil. I think that's how you pronounce it. Still don't know how to do that. This was in the side deck. We'll talk about this. This was a great side deck card. I'm not gonna lie though. Great side deck card. I did lock like I think like twice in the whole tournament, and I think if I didn't have the lock in one of those situations, I definitely lost the game. So did not regret running that. Let's talk about that. We're at like 5 o'clock, so we're gonna have to do a quicker. I mean, we did go over a ton of the stuff in the members only deck list. So once again, if you're a channel member, I'd recommend checking out that if you want to hear like some of the more menial things of why, you know, I made certain choices that we might not talk about right now. So we are on a tight schedule. And I love yapping, so it doesn't help. It doesn't really help my case when I want to do that. But branded felt great. I'm not gonna lie. Like this tournament just like reconfirmed that branded 100% has a place in the meta. And as long as you play well and deck build correctly, I think the deck building's super huge though, because if you just like, I think you really need the Charmies right now, and then just like these guys essentially. Like, I mean, Droplet was like fine, but I think Super Poly obviously just was the star of the show. And this was a huge, this list was heavily based off the Mario list, so definitely just like if I'm shouting out anybody, it's definitely Mario. Because this list was essentially his, and I made a few adjustments. So, if anyone deserves any credit for the list, that is Mario. I did make a few adjustments though, and I took, you know, what he said he would do afterwards. I made my own spin on things because he didn't run Sanctifier. I'm running Sanctifier. I think Sanctifier was great. I do not regret running that. You guys know in Master Duel I even run Sanctifier without the lock, so I think Sanctifier just has a ton of utility in the deck. So let's talk about the deck profile, and then we're going to talk about the tournament run, and just like we'll go over like why I guess I ended up fumbling the last round, and it wasn't like, oh, I just misplayed or something. No, trust me. I mean, like, it was against Regenesis, so like 100% I definitely did misplay because I didn't know what the cards did very much, that was like the only matchup where I wasn't comfortable just like freeballing it essentially, because with like technical play I just like, and then just other outside unfortunate factors that are, you know, but we will get into it. So yeah, we'll get into the deck profile right now. 3 Cartesia, 3 Aluber, 2 Quem, 3 Albaz, really standard. I mean, except for, you know, a lot of people have just been running 2 Cartesia, 1 Quem. I think you run the 2 Quem because of Nibiru, and then, and the 2 Quem did come up for me. I think 2 Quem is just so good. Even, we're on 54 cards, by the way. 3 Cartesia is just like, it's just consistency when you're at 54 cards. You just need to see, like, Cartesia is a starter with any other, like, light or dark, essentially. So I think running 3 is just, you know, upping the amount of, like, you know, it's not a bad card going second right now, and because not every board has like Detonator and Promethean Princess and stuff like that, so like it's fine. It's a pretty good card right now to run at 3. I know a lot of people have been asking me why people run it at 3 right now, and it's just consistency. And it's pretty, it's like you want to see it going you want to see it no matter what. Also, what's up, RJ King Pants? RJ, thanks for gifting a membership. I appreciate you, brother. Getting us one step closer to our monthly giveaway, which we are getting to the end of the month on. If we do end up hitting 30 channel members or Twitch subs, we will be giving away a QCR Alubers. So yeah, they're the original art, but we will do just a playset of those. Because I got a bunch of extra ones. So, and then 3 Shrouded, 1 Kit, and then 1 Tragedy, and then 1 Mercurier, wherever the Mercurier is. So I kind of miss the second Mercurier, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of want to just run a Droll because of that, but there was so much Droll, like, there's an infinite amount of Droll in this format, so I think you have to do what you can to play around it. So that's just a concession I had to make. It's also 1 less brick, so that's fine. Running the Tragedy was good, even without Foolish. Some people were like, why do you run the Despian Tragedy without Foolish Burial? And it's like, well, it's because you can send it off a Branded Fusion in a grind game, and then you can either get an Aluber, or you can just, reset a branded spell or trap card, so it's another branded retribution essentially, as long as you aren't banishing your branded fusion off of duplication. This is how you can keep branded fusion rotation with your kit, with your Despian Tragedy, and then your branded retribution. That's 3 different times you can loop the branded fusion in a whole grind game, so that's pretty good. I would never cut this card even without Foolish Burial. And then also, this is what you want to send off a branded fusion if you don't open a looper. If you just open branded fusion, you send this off of, or if you have like a line with Cartesia that doesn't go through a looper to get the branded fusion, you could also just send this to get the looper to have an extra body or just whatever, or get to like red or something like that. So yeah, stuff like that, since, you know, I don't know. It's a great branded red target too. So like some of the games I was just like sending Quem off of branded fusion. So I'd have like a branded and red target or like a branded banishment target. So just having more targets for those cards is really good in the grind game, just so you know are able to play the game more. Because Despians just have a higher value in your deck because of the fact you can touch it with branded and red and branded banishment, which are like your power plays in this build. So yeah. And then 3 Saranir, once again, this is just like the best Bestial in your deck right now, because if you Bestial on your opponent's turn, you know, you probably at least like crack into their board a little bit, and then also they'll probably remove it somehow, so like you get a retribution in rotation, which is really good to play into boards right now. Like you can send the retribution, and then it's like, okay, I go for branded loss or branded fusion, they omni it, okay, great, branded retribution, and then I get to use it again. So this card just is incredible right now. I'm not running the Magnuma, and I'm not running more Bestial Lubellions because we're not playing Master Duel. But then also Magnuma is just like, I've seen a lot of people cut it, so that's kind of why I just took people's judgment on that more than anything. In testing, it's not like Magnuma really did a ton for me, really. I think like, you know, we were struggling sometimes with that card in the deck, so I think I did not miss it. Like maybe side deck eventually, but I don't know. If you're not playing Mimigol Yummy, you're behind. That's a crazy take. I agree with 3 Cartesia right now, says the Magic Geek. Last locals, I played 3 cart, 2 Quem grind game, felt so good. Exactly. Like, you're always getting the Cartesias and the branded and high spirits back, and that's just insane for playing the grind game. And it's a really grindy game at the moment. Once again, 1 Lubellion. Just fine ratios, nothing. And you want to cut down on bricks because you're running, you know, all of these things. So you really have to be like tight on the deck building. That's why I think like upping the Cartesia Quems, which are just like your best extenders in the deck, versus upping cards like multiple Mercurier or like, you know, more Bestials that don't necessarily get you there, you know, or running the Bestials that do help you get there, in the sense of Bestial Saranir is really important, so you don't end up bricking on branded. I think that's what a lot of people just don't get. It's like a resource balancing game to properly deck build branded, if that makes sense. Like you're balancing how many starters, how many like non-engine you have, and like your chances of getting to branded fusion going first and second through hand traps and interruptions, while also drawing hands that let you play into the board, or at least, you know, turn skip them. Because I drew Droll, like I drew these cards infinite, honestly. Fua I didn't see at all, really. I saw just like these cards for the most part, but like they were absolutely insane. And Perulia wasn't even in my main deck for the most part. A lot of the testing, you guys know I was testing Perulia for a bit because that's what Mario was maining, but I felt like Droll was just better overall because it's good even into Malice, but it's mainly there obviously for the Mitsurugi and Ryzeal matchups. Like I had my Ryzeal Mitsu opponent the one game go 7th Tachyon, and then I just drolled him, and he just ended on Detonator, and I was able to out that with like 1 card, and then I still had a full hand. Like I had Thrust in hand, so it's like, okay, you know, like it was like the easiest, most simplified board breaking. Are we back? Are we back? I think we're back. Also, who donated 10? Toxin, thank you. I appreciate it. Also, let me know, guys, if we're back. Because I think my thing disconnected for a second. So I think we are back, though. Also, I do have to change the thing. It is not top 16, it's top 32. Okay, we are back. Wonderful, because usually it just ends the stream and I get very sad. So yeah, thank you for the $10 super chat, Toxin. GG's to you, man. Had a good time dueling you and glad I recognized you. I was Michael, the Ryzeal player. Yo, let's go. What's up, Michael? It was nice playing against you. Very well done. Very nice meeting you. Like, once again, all my players were just super nice, super gracious, and super kind. And super good players. Like, no, like they were. Every game just felt like a banger where we were just playing our hearts out for the most part, or just like, Yu-Gi-Oh moment, you foo me, I lose, stuff like that. So, GG's to you, my brother. Safe travels and everything. Thank you for the 10, dude. Like, very kind of you. I do appreciate that. Yeah, how's it going, everybody? We are back. I apologize. I did miss that Toxin when I was explaining the deck profile. But, yeah, no. GG's to you, man. Got 80 people in the chat. How's everyone doing? It was very nice meeting you, bro. Hell yeah, Toxin. Come back to the next Rochester Regional. We'll have to get the rematch. I'm itching for that new branded support. I need it badly. Hopefully we get that in Doom of Dimensions. If I had to guess, that's where it will be. Because we're getting the branded anime in June. So, like, if the branded stuff is not announced by June, I'd be very surprised. So, yeah, so these guys were great. I wasn't running Perulia up until the last second, and then I put it in. I was at 52, and now I'm at 54. And my theory behind that was I wasn't able to side deck these guys. I need these guys. These cards are so good, especially with Ido. Like, you might as well not run Ido if you don't run multiple fusion duplication, in my opinion, because Ido's just really good right now when you go fusion duplication through hand traps, honestly. And that's like, you get to it through thrust. But so what I ended up doing was I took 2 Perulia from the side, put it in the main, went to 54, did a bunch of test hands and the night before, and I was like, you know what? I'm drawing more Fuelos. Like, I'm drawing more Molcharmies. I'm drawing more Droll. So, like, totally, like, it worked, and it worked out because my first game was against a live twin player. Very nice guy, once again. And I drew Perulia, and I drew, like, 3 and broke his board. Like, I 2-0'd him. So, like, immediately I saw dividends in Perulia being in the main deck, and then I was able to, have a better going first games 2 and 3 because duplication was in my side deck for playing through hand traps. So that's what those were for. We'll talk about that when we get to there. Try my best to make it out to Rochester again. Yeah, man, it's a far drive for you, but if you can. I'll have to come out to a regional by you guys, honestly, because I've been trying to do a little bit more regional grinding. Thank you, Kevin Lopez, for the $5. I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a chunk of time now. Now that I have more time available, I'm coming back, and my go-to is Albaz Despia. I love this deck. Let's go. Yeah, no, it's a very fun deck. A very good deck to kind of just invest your time in and all that fun stuff. So I do appreciate the 5. Thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you once again, Toxin, for the 10. All right, so all right, so we're going to go through that. So, yeah, no, this non-engine was great. Also, Droll and Fua being high spirits targets are great. I mean, Perulia at 2, it's just the worst out of the bunch, so. And then for branded spells and traps, well, I guess, yeah, we can do branded spells or traps. I usually just do non-engine, branded fusion, branded red, 3 branded opening, 1 branded lost, 3 branded and high spirits. Really standard, nothing to say there. Also, I guess branded banishment, branded retribution. Branded banishment was crazy in a grind game, like through Nib and stuff like that, just getting my Mirror Jade back, and then the super poly effect to like make Garura if I need to, like stuff like that, like waiting to use the branded banishment so that your opponent plays into it, and then you get a free Mirror Jade, plus you get to super poly their board. This card's just crazy. Retribution was just great. I'm kind of glad I did not run 2 though, because this card would be bricky. And Branded Red was great. I just wish I had Guardian Chimera in my deck. That's like the one card I really missed in the deck that I did not run that I'm gonna probably have to find space for, because that card's just so good with Branded and Red, honestly. I was actually putting some cards away to pick up Sprind. I forgot how insane that is with Super Poly. That's true too. Sprind would have been a good option. Sprind always comes up for me. I'm just like, wow, I wish I kind of had Sprind there. 3 deployment, and then 1 gold Sark, 1 called by for the generic extenders, also 1 talents, 2 thrust, and then 1 fusion duplication to play through hand traps, and this card to get to Cartesia. Very standard. Two thrust over 3 for the bricking issue, because you can very easily brick on multiple thrusts going first or even going second. So I think 2 is just the perfect number so that you are able to at least get to talents if you need it. And talents was great. Obviously, I drew 2 sometimes, but like, I think I hand ripped once and drew 2 like the other time. And thrust was just great just to get to what I needed, like branded fusion. Thrust was great all day. I could see myself maybe putting a 3rd in the side deck, but I don't know how it even, like, the pattern would be for that, because, like, I can see thrust being good going first or going second, so maybe it just might be, like, an additional Mulcharmy side out going first kind of thing. Yeah, no. Yeah, how's everyone doing, guys? Really nice to see you guys. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We're going over the list. If you guys have any questions on the deck list, please let me know down below. We are going to also be doing an interview with the top 32 branded Dutch Nats player. So yeah, and then the board breakers, 3 super poly, 2 droplet. These cards were absolutely nuts. Like between the Mulcharmies and Droll and Thrust, and seeing these, as long as I saw this plus like a half board breaker engine piece, essentially, I felt just fine. And at 54 cards, running like about 15 non-engine, that those slots plus branded cards is pretty consistent to see them. So yeah, they were pretty good. Maybe just up the droplet to 3 at some point, I don't know, but droplet just does not feel as good as super poly. Super poly was just crazy all day. I don't even have that many traditional super poly targets, but like for the most part, it was like making Masquerade, making Mirror Jade. I made Mirror Jade so much off of super poly, I'm not gonna lie. That's like kind of what happened most of the time. Garura also, so yeah. And that's the main deck, 54 cards. And let's go into the extra deck. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube, right? Yeah, this will be uploaded to YouTube. For sure, for sure. We always upload these as a super cut, like, so it's a little bit better, you know. So yeah, guys, how's everyone doing? Raziel, 1 red. Yeah, only 1 red. I think 1 red's just fine. It's one of those deck building concessions. Like, I'd love to run 2 red or like a branded and white, but they're bricks at multiples sometimes, so I would just rather run cards that either turn skip my opponent or kind of just get me to my engine at this point. Like, it's a really fine line that you gotta toe when you're running 54 cards with like 5 Mulcharmies that are just bricks after like turn 1, right? Like, you have to make certain concessions, and the double branded in red was one of them. And it didn't really come up because, you know, I run things like Tragedy, and if you play, and I run things like Kit. So if you do your grind game pretty, and like Kit just lets you get back these things, right? So like, I think it's totally fine. Oh, Kevin Lopez with another $5. I appreciate you, my brother. I'm still struggling to understand the Ido or Puppet Lock combo to set to the extra deck. I can show that at the end quickly. Here, we'll just show that off right now, I guess, since you did just donate 10. Appreciate that. I mean, it's really easy. I'd go to one of my combo guides, like very much so. I just have released a combo guide. I'll have to link it out there, but it's under my how to play branded playlist, because for the most part, like, my line with duplication was like I would get Fuwood and then I'd thrust into duplication, and then if I had any access to Cartesia, duplication would banish the branded fusion and then send, you know, copy the branded fusion effect, send Cartesia, send Albaz, or sorry, no, send like I said, I needed a Cartesian rotation, so it'd send the Albaz, and then I would send the Ido from the side deck, or from the extra, yeah, from, you know, right there, and then I would make a Lubellion, and then Lubellion would just discard the Cartesia, and then fuse back Cartesia Albaz, and then make the Sanctifier, and then Sanctifier would be able to target Ido, and then target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, or if you have anything else, and then you would be able to lock your opponent, because once it's on board, they can't special summon anything. Like, I think someone had, my like this card's so crazy. Like you can't even send it off of ice. Like just to check, we checked with a judge because like this card's wording is so weird. It's also a very old card, but yeah, you like literally can't even send this. Like you just can't even attempt to summon is essentially the ruling. So yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know, Kevin. But like also I would definitely check out one of my combo videos because that's where I go over like the locks in depth. Did you miss the second copy of Mirror Jade? No, it didn't come up for me. I only played 5 rounds, to be fair, and most of my games were 2-0s. Like, I think well, half of them were, and then the other half were just like definitely like really grind fest, like the Mermal, the Ryzeal games. But yeah. So one Mirror Jade, I felt like it was just fine at one. You have to make those deck building concessions. Like I wanted to run the Sanctifier. If I didn't run the Sanctifier, I'd run the second Mirror Jade, honestly. Or I'd run the Guardian Chimera, but it was fine. I tested a lot, but I mean, not like a lot before this event, but like I was playing more TCG than I had been playing in the last year, essentially. And I hadn't been playing much. So, you know, considering that, I felt like this extra deck was pretty good from the testing, and nothing really came up. When I test branded extra decks, I don't want to miss like a piece. Like I said, I don't have a Guardian Chimera in here, but I felt like if I didn't have Sanctifier, I'd want it under some, like if I get double Fuwood, I am not going the Mirror Jade line. I'm losing that game if I get double Fuwood. If I get double Fuwood and I have Sanctifier, I still have a play. Like honestly. Because then they just like it's essentially an upstart goblin. So Puppet isn't available in TCG. I mean, we call it Puppet Lock, right? But yeah. Super Poly amazing, bro. Yes, sir. Super Poly was definitely like the star of the show for sure, as always. Okay, I've been practicing the new Novile support before July. I'm looking forward to playing Burger. Yo, Toxin's gonna be cooking up the burgers. No, that's cool, man. I would like to see, because the new support is really good for the Novela. So if you have goo you're cooking, hit me up, Toxin. You know, we could show it off or something. What's up, Uxum? Nice to see you. Kevin Lopez, $2. I'm not graduated from the academy yet. From the branded academy. Fair enough. Appreciate the $2. All right, so for the rest of the branded cards, Titanclad and 2 Grang Wignall. 2 Grang was amazing. It came up like most games. You really just need it for like the grind game it just always comes up. And then also making your cards a high spirit bridge, pretty good. 1 Renbrum. This card was incredible. Having this card in the graveyard, most people would just like lose the game because this was in the graveyard. Essentially, they couldn't interact with it, or they didn't see it coming. And then I would just make like a Chaos Star Source Dragon. It would be so good. Garura for the Super Poly target, and also this was great to send off a Grang Wignall since we aren't running a lot like a Adlib or a Ido in the main deck. This was great to just send to get a free draw a lot of the time. And then 1 Stapelia, and then which was a great Super Poly target too. It didn't come up as much as, but it was like I made this off of Branded and Red a lot in Simplified Game States, and all off of Lubellion when I needed the second Mirror Jade or something like that. But this was like perfectly like this is what this is. This could be a second Mirror Jade, but I wanted to diversify it because if I already have Mirror Jade on the board, I want to be able to have this. And I don't have Guardian Chimera, so like I don't want that to be Masquerade by or like Sanctifier by default. I feel like those are kind of weaker options in like a general board state. So where Stapelia just like gives you a negate constantly, and then 1 Lad, and then 1 Proskinion. Proskinion was insane. Like this card, I literally against the Live Twin Sprite player, I took his Abaku and I popped a card, and I also revived Albaz. Like, this card is insane against Abaku decks. You just take their Abaku after you Super Poly it or whatever. Or you Chaos Star Source it, and then you just win the game. Like, Abaku, it's like, okay, I'm not playing Branded Sinker. Also, this card was insane. Every time I hit the board, I won the game. So, also Masquerade, it just came up once, but it wasn't like a time factor. It was more or less he was on like 1,000 life points. I just made this and passed. So, very good extra deck. We'll talk about the side super quickly. 2 granny is mandatory, so great, good for the grind, says Nero. For sure, for sure. All right. All right. Is there any way to get branded Banish Fusion back from Banish with branded Despia engine? I haven't used Fusion duplication. Yeah, you use Kit. That's why we run Kit. I know some lists don't run Kit, but I feel like with Fusion duplication, especially when I run 3 Fusion duplications, you have to run the Kit because you're going to banish your branded Fusion at some point probably in your 3, you know, in your best of 3. So having Kit there, it's also good for those hands where you don't draw any extenders except you have like a Molcharmi and High Spirits. And that's what happened against my one Ryzeal opponent. It was really funny because I bricked game. Okay, so like I hard bricked my first game, and that was on me. Like I did nothing to do that brick. I think branded eventually will brick in a tournament. You just kind of have to take that L sometimes. And then you just reverse 2-0 them, and that's why I should have been able to do. But you know, I was undefeated at this point, so I was like, okay, we'll just go game 2. I sided in Spooky Dogwood over Fuelos because I literally was like, why do people, like, wouldn't I just keep in Spooky, like, wouldn't I just side out the Spooky Dogwood and put, or sorry, the Fuelos and put in Spooky Dogwood, because theoretically, like, you know, I could just not die off of Spooky Dogwood or something like that, instead of Fuelos being kind of just dead when I'm going first. But the thing is that Fuelos is a High Spirits bridge, and this is not, so I think that was a mistake. However, my opponent had an Ash Blossom in hand, so because of the fact that I did not go for Ash, I bricked. I drew High Spirits, Spooky Dogwood, and then like 3 bricks, and then I had to pass my game 2. So I bricked twice in a row, and if I hadn't sided in Spooky Dogwood, it wasn't a brick, so I don't consider this a brick, like I just missided, but it worked out because then I Spooky Dogwooded him, and then I didn't die, and then I was able to OTK him, so it was... That I don't know. Spooky Dogwood is definitely crazy. And then Lance, I didn't even play against Malice, so like these cards, this did not come up. Meowls was fine against like the Fiendsmith deck I played against, and I mean the side deck didn't come up much. I think Lightning Storm was pretty good. There was an error on my deck list, so like I meant to have 2 Lightning Storm, but I did Feather Duster Lightning Storm, so I had to run this. Because you guys might see in the members only video, I put 2 Lightning Storm. I thought I had 2 Lightning Storm on my deck list, but I didn't, so I just put in the 1 Feather Storm, or sorry, the Feather Duster. So yeah, that is the list, you guys. And then once again, I can go over my matchups super quickly. They are on Twitter if you guys want to check them out. Thank you for following me on Twitch, Tibbets, and then also thank you everybody for the super chats from Toxin and also our man Kevin Lopez. Do appreciate it, guys. So my matchups, let's see, because I felt like I played basically perfectly until my last round, so that was good. So I won round 1 versus Live Twin Fiendsmith. I lost the die roll by 2-0'd them, broke both the boards easily, but Perulia last second edition, like I mentioned before, to the main deck won me game 1, so I was very happy about that. And then game 2 against Mermal. And then round 2, I went against Mermal. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Eccentric Archfiend on YouTube. He is also a channel member. I do appreciate him. I had a really good game against him. It was a grinder. I won die roll, so obviously I locked him and all that. Or sorry, no, I just like I saw Blad and he couldn't play through it. And then he went game, and then game 2 happened. I didn't draw a hand trap, so he just hand ripped me for 2 instead of barrier statue, and yeah, I just lost. And then game 3, I drew like basically a Luber. Like my hand was super weak. So I set up like, I think he had like Fuelos too or something, so I had to like make like a Sanctifier essentially with like a really weak board. It was not very good. I think I had Brandon in red still though. And he ended up breaking my board, but I was able to like survive. And he did not have, he thought he since he was breaking the board, he sided out the barrier statue, and he went for the barrier statue as if he had the barrier statue in his deck. And because of that, I basically won because his end board was weak and I was just able to OTK him with like a minute on the clock left. So if he had kept in the barrier statue, I won the game. But that's also just like a concession that you have to make on some level. Like, are you going to keep in the Ido going second? Because in the grind game, it's pretty good once you break their board, right? And you can't OTK them. I think a deck like Mermail, I mean, but the thing is, though, if he just never went for the barrier statue line and just went for Trishula hand rip, like, and then banished the Branded Fusion in my graveyard, I was just going to crack him back with Despia Tragedy. I think that would have won him the game anyway. So, like, I think, you know, I got lucky in that scenario. And then, so I won my round 2. And then round 3 against Mitsu Ryzeal, shout to Toxin in the chat. I won it against him 2-1. Game 1 had Droll on 7th. Tachyon ended on Detonator and cracked it, like I mentioned before. Game 2, I drew Perulia Meowls, like, but I had him really mid-hand. I had like Cartesia. I had like Quem Fusion Deployment Albaz or something. Like, even after drawing like 3. I had like nothing beyond those cards, so I wasn't able to crack their board. And he was summoning from the deck a lot, so he was able to play around the Perulias a lot. Game 3, I Ashed on Branded Fusion, or I got Ashed on Branded Fusion by Triple Tactics Talents. I drew 2, and then I just locked him through with Fusion Duplication. So yeah. And then I lost a really tough game 4 against Mitsu Ryzeal. Very good game. It was a very good game. Once again, I bricked game 1, and then game 2 I bricked because I missided. I should have kept in the Fuas. In the future, I'll keep in the Fuas, but like, I'll consider putting in Spooky Dogwood, because if I get hand trapped and I keep Spooky Dogwood in my hand and I have like a half board, like, they won't be able to kill me and I'll be able to crack them back. So like, honestly, Spooky Dogwood is not a bad option if you have like the sides anytime after games 2 and 3. And then game 5, I played against Regenesis. I don't even know if he was on the cash variant. It was just like a pure variant, and he was main decking Spooky Dogwood, so that was already interesting to say the least. And there were some fun interactions in that game, and once again just made an error that costed me the game at the end. So yeah, that was just kind of what it is. And you know, I could have like played it out my last 3 rounds and just went X2 and probably gotten like top 10 or something like that, but I was kind of tilted off of my mistake. So I'm just like, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna get back to it with the next remote regional. And also I think there is a Canadian regional in 2 weeks here. All right. So that was the deck list and the recap. That was a fun time. So yeah, no, definitely we'll be back next week essentially with another one of these, and hopefully with better results. Haven't been playing too much TCG lately anyways. Really just been doing Master Duel for the last 6 months, so that kind of is what it is. How did you go at the regional? I went X2. I mean, I dropped, but Greed Toxin looks so much fun. Yeah. Is there a... if you use Brand Regain, you can get back 2. I mean, theoretically, yes. Kevin Thomas, when I get food into Albion Fusion, sent to graveyard through Bestial Lubellion, place Regain or loss, and then Albion Fusion set Banishment mainly, so I have Lad Line to try to negate as much as possible. What's up, Tibbix? Magic Geek, one of my friends finally got Ryzeal and Smith together, and I never realized the back and forth those games are. We literally spent the first 3 turns breaking each other board. Yeah, no, very, very, very fun. Does anyone actually like this format? I like this format. I think Mitsu Ryzeal is just a little bit more overtuned, but I actually don't think it's a bad format, personally speaking. I think any format that Branded's playable in, I don't think is a bad format, so I might be biased. Did you miss Starving Venom? I think I did, but like I never saw Super Poly in the situation where I would have missed it, if that makes sense. So that is a consideration going forward as well. That's a good question, actually. Yu-Gi-Oh is hard. What's up, West Virginia's finest? Nice to see you, Goat. Hope you're doing well. Rare. Oh, speaking of goats, Hunter Stigmata, sup goat. I'm curious how the branded matchup against Malice. Oh yeah, dude, you're gonna have to deal with Malice for the first time over there in Master Duel. I mean, it's a little different though because you guys are gonna have Appaloosa Malice, and I think Appaloosa Malice is better than TCG Malice, frankly. So it depends on how hit it's gonna be, but you know, you're going to want to see Super Poly, Rare Hunter for sure. Like, Super Poly is the GOAT in that matchup. I also think that Droplet will be pretty good as well. So, though, you know, more standard branded board breaking. What's up, Marco, Yo Branded Brothers? How's it going, Marco? I'm going to call you in a second on Discord, and we'll get you in here, and we're going to talk about your list. I actually do believe I have it. I'm going to have to grab it from the group chat, actually. Mitsu Raizel is one of the fairest overtuned decks I've ever seen, if that makes sense. I mean, that's how I feel about Mitsurugi. I just think... I just think that Prayers is an absolutely broken card. The fact that it's a quick play, like, I wish Prayers was not a quick play. Malice with Appo is just disgusting to think about. Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Desktop. Branded Despia. I don't know what, this is not the, I think I have the list on YGO Mega that I was using. Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody watching the regional. I felt disappointed in my performance, but also I think, you know, you gotta, as long as you learn from your mistakes, if you're able to like pinpoint where you went wrong, I think like losses are never like a bad thing for the most part, because then you can learn from your mistakes and not do them again, right? And then theoretically you should start winning more games over time once you're learning more from your mistakes, right? I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with their testing, that, you know, they see their losses as just like a complete failure, and that is not the case. I think you have to be analytical with, like, you have to ask yourself, why did I lose in this situation, kind of thing. Oh yeah, this is the deck list though. This is 100% the deck list right here. Would you recommend Ash Blossom? Also, what's up, No Vanity? Hope you're doing well, my king, my blazing branded king. What's up, Angra, mind you? Do you think Malice will be the reason why Appaloosa finally dies in Master Duel? You would think that, but like it seems like Malice was literally designed with Appaloosa in mind. Like what are you supposed to do with that Cryptor? Like, they literally had to make like the Adignister cards to give like TCG players like another option, right? All right, we're gonna get Marco on here. Top 32 Dutch Nats with branded Despia. I really did like his list, to be honest. So I did want to discuss that with him in the meta for like 30 minutes or to an hour. So we're gonna be doing that and then playing some ranked games after that. Giuseppe Visconti, I'm catching up on the profile. Also, wait, I have to give my man a shout out. Shout out to Sean. We saw Sean at the event. Shout out to Sean. He wanted a shout out. So yeah, no, I have to get my man with that. Hey man, I'm catching up on the profile. I'm at about 20 minutes in, so maybe you already addressed this, but you said you made Guru off of banishment. You cannot do that because of the effect. Or did I miss something? Yeah, no, I was thinking about that. I actually never did that, but I was like, I shouldn't have. like how I worded that was incorrect. I did not do that, but that is like an option I still have in my head. But now that I think about that, yeah, 100% illegal. So I always like it doesn't come up until it comes up, but trust me, like yeah, that never actually resolved. I was trying to go fast with my words and stumbled there, so apologize about that. But it was more or less like summoning banishment and then fusing on, or using banishment, summoning Mirror Jade, and then like fusing the Quem that you would have on board off with like to make a masquerade or something like that. All right, so we're gonna here. I got the list right here. All right, so we did show this off before a little bit when we were testing with it, but why is this so okay? There we go. Why did they hit my boy Bonfire, not Simon, not mine? Why would the, wait. We're talking about that's a snake eye hit though. Still a starter. All right, so we're gonna get Marco in here. Call him right now. I gotta plug in my headset though. And I see that Marco's running the Ukas, which is something that we also saw at the Greek Nationals. So I'm definitely gonna be curious about that. Is this not working? Okay. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. Give me 1 second. All right, we're gonna call Marco now. Hello, hello.
Hey mate, do you hear me?
Yes, I can. Let me get you on my actual. You're playing through my speaker right now, so I gotta switch my audio settings.
Okay.
No, that's my
So
fault.
guys, sorry in advance. I caught a little bit of cold, so my voice is a bit funny.
No, you're fine. Hope you're feeling okay.
Okay.
Hope you feel better. But
Yeah.
yeah, so how's it going, Marco? Glad to have you on the stream after it's was supposed to have you on last week, but we had to reschedule. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you accommodating that. But I wanted to talk branded with you because you recently did very well over at the Dutch Nationals with branded, and you had a very good list. And I wanted to kind of just use that as a discussion point. I'm not sure. Did you do a formal deck profile? I'm not sure if there's one that we can point people to.
No, not yet. I'm planning to release it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck, but like you can upload your deck up to top 16, so we'll have to make it separately.
I hope they just see this video and they take the deck list from here. Sometimes they do that, so maybe save you some work.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll talk about your deck list and we'll talk about your run and then maybe just talk about branded in general because I generally think branded's a pretty good option right now. I have to ask, like, what is your history with branded? Like, what brought you to bringing branded to the Dutch Nationals?
So I'm playing the deck since ever. Like it's been 2-3 years that I'm playing only branded, like nothing else. I am also on White Forest Azamina because I like Lord decks, but I don't know, losing to Droll, sometimes it's just too hard. And branded guys, this format is crazy because Droll doesn't do that much to us. Charm is as well. Like my plan in one game against White Forest, indeed, I got double Fuvalos and Ash on branded fusion, and I just did the lock.
Yep.
So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's actually a real. I haven't had anyone
Um,
articulate it for that point, but like in particular with Droll and Mulcharmies just
uh-huh.
being way better than Effect Veiler, Imperm, people opting not even to run these cards because they don't do enough against the best decks. You know, when we are literally probably the
Exactly.
most resilient deck into those hand traps, that makes a lot of sense to me.
We are like the only problem for us is of course Ash, as always, and now Dominus Impulse, because Dominus Impulse of the deck. Like my first two games against Malice were ridiculous. I got Imperm on Aluber and Impulse on Branded Fusion, and my trust in hand was completely dead. So
Yeah.
that sucks. That sucks a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately with Impulse more in the meta, you'll just get those games where like, you know, sometimes you'll get those imperm pass hands anyways, so just like Impulse just like exacerbates that a little bit, but I think outside of that it's like, you know, there's a lot of decks not running Impulse, and it's also just not like,
Mhm.
you know, there's a lot of ways to still play through it, so I think you
Yeah.
know, like I see you running the branded and high spirits. I see you running Spriggan's kit. I see you running the Ido. So we'll definitely be talking about that because you
Yeah.
mentioned that you were locking through hand traps, which is something that like I'm seeing branded players like this season. Branded players are kind of split on locking or not because we just had two
Mhm,
Greek tops
mhm.
who did not run the lock. They felt like it was a little bit
I
more
saw
weak.
them.
Yeah, and then we have your list, and then we also had I think it was top 16 Venezuela nationals. Maybe it was a top 8.
Mhm.
That was a branded list that also opted to run the lock. So I think like, you know, there's evidence to suggest that it's good, and you know, but maybe you don't have to run it. So we'll have to talk about that though, because I think you mentioned
Yeah.
there was like you said, there was a game against White Forest that if you didn't have the lock, you might not have been able to win. Like I mentioned actually in my deck profile, if you get double Fualos, I feel like the lock is the
It's
only
tough.
line that doesn't lose you the game. I feel like in that
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. Like
Um,
suppose that you want to go for I don't know, for the lad line, right? So you special summon Albion, then you tribute for Lubellion, but that summon gives two draws, and those two draws can be anything. And depending on the matchup, I don't think lad is always the win condition as the lock is. So that's why I prefer to play the lock, especially in this meta, because the best decks like Malice and the others are not playing Bestials. So you're not that scared to get Bestials on the lock in some strange lines where you cannot set up the loss protection. So I think it's really solid. I do agree with, I don't remember if it was Mario or Vasilis in one of your chat with them. It's, I think, like going second, maybe I would side out the lock for like some board breaker. So yeah, but going first, definitely you need to run it. Either because like it's a safe option on time, it's a safe option on against a lot of end traps. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, and so I guess that leads us into the fact that you were running branded banishment, but you were not running the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. What brought you to
Exactly.
those decisions? Were you like, I just value the second Jade here over the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, or like, you know, the Starving Venom? In these slots that because I ran one Jade
Mhm.
personally like in but you are running the Bashman. You were saying that Bashman, I believe, in your
Yeah.
breakdown on the group was good without the lad. So maybe if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah. It's lovely. It's lovely. Like, so first of all, I am super scared not playing the second Mirror Jade. Like, it's our Bones monster, right? And it's one of the strongest card, like, still available in Yu-Gi-Oh. So running one, like, there are games in which definitely is enough, but there are some others where, while maybe if you had it, you can win the game, right? So I think 2 is still needed. Maybe with the new supports in the future, who knows, we can cut it to 1. But so far, I mean, this is my personal opinion, modest opinion. I still prefer running 2. Regarding banishment, so I was expecting to this national a lot of malice, Mitsurugi. So basically, banishment is just a free super poly in the opponent turn without discarding 1, and that brings 1 free body on our field. That can be anything. Like suppose that like you have any Despia monsters or any fusion monster in grave, you just special summon it back, and then you fuse the opponent field with banishment, and you bring back, I don't know, a Starving Venom. And doing this against Malice, guys, it's like it's super good to see. Like they can impulse us, that's fine. But when there is lost on the field and you go branded banishment, you fuse 2 bodies and they cannot activate. And remember it, they cannot activate the Malice name effects in the when they're banished because of lost. And you bring Starving Venom, like most likely it's just game.
Oh, that's a really good point too. Where yeah, like that's the thing. If you just banish these malice cards under loss, it does not matter. So yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Exactly.
That like banishment has a ton of
Exactly.
utility over just like making lad, right? Like people ran banishment for a reason before lad came out.
Exactly. Or like just suppose that you are running late on time, and I don't know, 5 minutes left. You side in a masquerade, and then you have any names plus 1 name in the opponent field. You bring masquerade, and then you remove one. You remove 1 name from the opponent field, and then you put the tax dragon. This won me a game as well.
Yeah, that's actually a situation that happened with me too, where like banishment just makes like masquerade for free a lot of the time, especially when you're just like bringing back your mirror jade. So that's a really good point. And then I guess I have to ask you about the starving venom. Do you
Mhm.
feel did it come up for you? Like I know you said you lost the 2 malice games, but was it like did
Yes.
it come in up in those situations? Did it come up more in the Mitsurugi situations? Because when I look at starving venom, I'm like there's a ton of value there off of like going into a pure Mitsurugi board against that card, but like you'll
Mhm.
tell me.
So it came out like every single game against dark decks. So the first game with Malice I lost because, as I told you, got impulse and imperm, so like could do nothing. But the second game I got Fuvaros, so I did the bare minimum, set up banishment, some good interruptions like Quem and Albat's Engrave, and that was enough because 2 Malice names were banished, so Starving Venoms came out. And then, as soon as the opponent special summon from the extra deck and other monsters, Quem Reborn Albats go into Mirror Jade. So you see, like it's kind of like a super poly control. You play a lot with the opponent fields, removing all the names when you can. And against Mitsurugi, guys, it's like a free win. I'm not saying I like Mitsurugi. I appreciate that it's one of the strongest deck right now, especially like the pure, because it can play impulse, it can play a lot of flex. But when they end up with the bones monster and the other ritual, the one that special summon, and you go super poly, then that's it.
Yeah,
Like
they can't
empty
do
field.
anything. And that's actually huge in
Yeah.
that situation because the futsu is usually just like free value for them that you just kind of have to eat. Like it feels bad. Like you have to like either droplet it or they just get back infinite crackback
Yeah.
that if you don't like lock them or kill them, you're kind of in a bad
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And then also like it makes them have to choose with the prayers because I've heard some people say like, oh, like Super Poly's not good into Mitsu because of prayers, but I feel like it really just like ends up it forces their interactions and then you can kind of deal with
Yes.
it as it is way better on your time than their time.
And like the pure, I'm sure that the pure is playing 2 of the Mitsurugi Bones monsters, but most of the Raziel list are playing only 1. And there were a couple of times where I was testing that 1 Sanctifier was enough because the you force them to tribute summon the big monster. Sorry guys, I cannot pronounce the name of it. And then once he hit the grave, you special summon back on your side of the field, and then that and then it stays there forever. and then lose it. So basically, you shut down completely the whole engine, and this is super strong against like Raziel Mitsu.
Yes. So okay, I see. I was like seeing if I had to actually run it or not. It's one of those cards that I do just think like most branded players who have been doing well this format have consistently said is a very good factor like to have in your deck. So that's good to also hear you confirm that. I would also have to ask, I think, in terms of the main deck, like, you know, there's a couple other things, but did you ever feel like, you know, the not like, were you happy with the non-engine lineup running like the 3 droplets, 3 super polys? Like, would you ever added more like Molcharmies, or were you pretty happy, like, you know, seeing any combination of, you know, droplet and super poly even against like certain decks? Like, I was
So
thinking like
starting from the
Mermail or
Charmies,
something. You might want more Charmies, but you tell me.
starting from the Charmies, I'm happy with Fuvalus. I would not add any other Charmies just because I like it because it's a starter. If we go in first, it's a starter with 5 spirits, right? Or it's a free discard for opening, so it's fine. And if you go in second and you drop the Charmy, it's good for 2 ways. Either because your opponent will go into a mid board rather than full board, or they will use their Ash Blossom to stop the Mulcharmy Fuvalus, right? And then this means that like if you have like, of course, you can do, you have a good hand. It means that like your Branded Fusion will resolve. And remember, guys, we only need Branded Fusion to resolve to win the game. So yeah.
That's why I'm really looking
So
forward to if Branded Fusion ever goes back to 2 like Master Duel.
bro, that's my dream. I told you this, and like a contact fusion. That I will be the happiest man in the world. So regarding droplet, currently I agree with Mario. I guess I'm cutting droplet to 2. 3 sometimes was too heavy. Maybe like I ended up reshuffling back with Kit or discarding it to extend the combo over Entrops, or as a cost for Rebellion. So with 2, I think I'm fine now. Trust my opinion, it must go to 3. Like there are so many Fuvalos drop in the draw phase, Purulia, Meowls. Now a lot of players use Lancia against us, which is not that like it doesn't do that much,
It
but we need
really
to be aware of
doesn't.
it.
It does if they drop it on you when you're trying to board break them. I think that's what a lot of people don't
Exactly.
realize when it's good, because if you can't Mirror Jade to break a board, like, you're in trouble, especially with a lot of builds dropping Guardian Chimera. So like, that most people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Most people are like dropping Lancia like when I'm going first, and in that situation I could care less, frankly. Like
Exactly.
like, I don't know. Maybe if they drop it on like Albion effect, I might be like whatever. But even then, that's why, you know, the Lubellion line is as good as it is. So I'm kind of curious actually. What is your standard line here if you have like one Aluber, or if you have like Aluber plus Cartesia? Because I'd assume the Aluber plus Cartesia line obviously is kind of like a Mirror Jade plus a lock, but like like why I like the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is it just makes like the singular Aluber combo very good. So I'm kind of like, what is the end board that you're usually going for?
So like starting with Cartesia and Aluber, so for sure the one Mirror Jade, Guignol, Lost. If Lost, then depending of what we have in grave, it will be either set banishment or red. Of course, like depending if I'm going blind first, I would still prefer banishment rather than red, because I think this meta there is a lot of dark decks, and just the banishment line for Starving Venom is just super safe to do. Or like maybe it's Blue Eyes and you have Cowstars or Dragon, right? So you have a lot of option in the extra deck. So I think this is the safest. And as you were saying earlier, remember guys, we cannot do Garura because it's not a level 8. And then, yeah, probably one Quem in rotation, of course, to maximize the interruption with Albus. And then, of course, like depending on how strong was the opening hand, it will be either like a full setup for the lock, right? Or just Mirror Jet Turbo, like maximizing Mirror Jet using Quem and Cartesia, or maximizing like the interruption with Alpha in Gave, either with Rin Broom or Quem. So I kind of play hard with with our super poly effect, and it kind of pay off.
That's what a lot of people I think don't understand when it comes to maximizing like a layered endboarded branded, that like Albaz is like arguably your best like interruption in my opinion that you have, because when you have things like Rinbrum in rotation, it really can catch people off guard, just like, you know, when you let your opponent summon a few guys and then you just end up like summoning Albaz, making Chaos Star Source and just like blowing them out. It's usually like if they board break you, if they hand trap you, if they called by you, it's like, okay, we still have like the Rinbrum play a lot of the time, plus like Mercurier,
exactly.
which is like why Branded is so good into like, I mean, it's not board breaker format, but like it you know, a lot of decks have board breaking capability at the moment between Malice, Mitsurugi, and Ryzeal, so like we can kind of just withstand that a lot of the time because of how layered, you know, the things are, and a lot of that just has to do, I think, with the Rinbrum play and with like things like Mercurier. So you did mention about the Quem. There's been a lot of people running the double Quem. I feel like Quem is always just kind of that concession piece where it's like you don't need the second one, and like arguably running the one I think increases consistency. I see that you wanted to hit that pure 50, but did you ever miss the 2, or would you ever consider going up to the 2?
No, actually no. Like Quem is one of my favorite cards, but when I hard draw Quem and then I don't have the hand to maximize the plays, I kind of feel bad. So I always prefer to bring Quem out of Grand Guignol or Quertis or whoever else, Titan, but I don't like to normal summon Quen and start the combo. So that's why I'm trying to cut it. And also 2 Cartesia for me it's enough so far. Maybe in future version I can try to play 3. But the point is our normal summons are a lot, right? There are hands when you open Aluber, Albat Quem, or Aluber, Albat Cartesian, then you don't have any extender, like you don't have opening, you don't have high spirits, you don't have like any of the consistency cards like Foolish Buddha or Gold Sark. And then it's kind of hard, right? Because if you start with Quem and send Albats and just pray, this can be the best option, right? But I don't know.
Yeah, it sometimes gets you there.
Yeah.
But not all the time.
Yeah. But another reason, like why I was playing 3 droplets, it's because I was planning to get tons of hand traps, right? So a lot of impermanence or whatever on a river. And then I kind of try to maximize the interaction between droplet, any Despia monster, and banishment as well. So because sometimes you hard draw your traps like banishment, and I won one game against Malice, and this was actually the winning strategy. Like it opened with Chessicat, I did droplet on Chessicat, and then on the next play I just go banishment, bring back, it was, I don't remember, Quem or Aluber, fusion away the 2 names, and then it was just game because he didn't have any other extenders. So that was my strategy.
Very nice, very nice. Also, guys, please let me know down below in the chat if you guys have any questions for Marco and his list and Branded in general. Sure. But
so another thing, guys.
Yeah, no, go on.
If I can.
Yeah.
So if you see the JaketheMtnMan and the Ecclesia in my side deck, that's why, because I was expecting Mitsurugi, Malice, and a lot of Fiendsmiths. So that's why I was playing JaketheMtnMan. Not necessarily for time, because for time we have Masquerade, which is way better than JaketheMtnMan, but especially for Fiendsmiths, because once they go Requiem into Lacrima, you just drop the JaketheMtnMan and then bring the Ecclesia from deck, and that's enough to say, win the game against any Finsmith deck.
Yeah, like, was it good
But
for you
I
in
would cut
practice?
it.
Oh, you would cut it?
No,
You
I
would
would
cut it?
cut it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like, yeah, sure, it's fine, but I think sales ban would be much better. That's my meta call. I'm actually testing it.
No, that's cool. That's the Yuri Diaz goo. I've been seeing, and what's funny is like everyone's finally catching on. Like, because like Yuri, another really like goated branded player, like he's always been testing like Sal's ban on and off because he knows that card's good, and like now like that card's going up to $10 over here in the TCG. Like
Yeah,
it's it's having its moment because it's great going second, and then going first you just look at your hand and you're like, what do I lose to the most? That's the most common. And
exactly, Chris.
yeah, so
Yeah,
you
like
would
suppose
do
that
that, you would put Sal's ban over the Ukas?
yes, definitely.
What
Like
would you be
I
calling?
find it. So that depends, right? So if you have trust, so like let me be more specific. I would cut also evenly match to play more copies of fusion duplication as as you're doing right now, right? In some of the videos I saw it, perhaps.
You like that line? I think it's just too free with Ido, because if you have like thrust, you're just winning the game every single time because of duplication.
Exactly.
So
So suppose that you have sales ban, right? And you lose only to I don't know. You lose only to, I mean, of course, if you lose to only to Ash, you just call sales ban. You call Ash Blossom, or if you're playing against Malice, you of course call Dominus Impulse. But there can be some other strange hands where you have trust, or either you have fusion duplication, so you can accept to get stopped your branded fusion at the cost of not getting stopped by Droll or any other things, to keep setuping your graveyard to maximize the interruption during your opponent turn. Because most likely, guys, they don't, like, they know branded, everyone knows branded, but very few people knows how layered is our end board, because very few people know like all the resources that fusion duplication can generate for us during our opponent turn, right?
yep.
So yeah, that's fine. Like, that's why I think sales ban it's a good choice. Like, maybe yes, let's get ashed on banded fusion. Let's set up like another piece of back row that we need, that can be either fusion duplication or banishment or whatever you want. But then let's overextend being safe from draw, let's say, because there are some hands where you start with Aluber and you know that if you get Ash from branded fusion, then that's it, and you need to go through high spirits play, right, to set
Yes.
up maybe a Titan Engrave or a Ring Room. So maybe there, you just safely call Droll, and with Salesman, and then yes, let's get Ash on Branded Fusion, Trust, and then that's it. You do everything you would do, but in your opponent turn, and I think it's very solid.
No, that's very, very well said, and I hope people are able to use that as a little bit of a guide to, when they're looking at Sal's ban, as an
Mhm.
option for branded. And I was definitely curious about the Uka, so I'm glad you addressed that. Because I was actually feeling like Uka might be an okay time option going second, like, because we saw Vasilis run the Dogwoods. I ran Dogwood over the weekend. I thought it was good, but I never went to time because I was also locking. So like, I feel like when you're locking,
Exactly.
you don't go to time very often, which is a
No,
plus of the lock. I don't know.
exactly. There are some lines with fusion duplication where you play around all possible entrops, and then your opponent doesn't understand what's going on, and then in your turn, you just go into the look at him, and say like, "GG's."
Yeah, no, for sure. It's actually funny. Yeah, people will look. They'll look like they just saw a ghost essentially when you
Yeah,
do a lot of
exactly.
stuff with fusion duplication. So that's very
Uh,
well said. Um,
yeah.
and
And then
and
I am reading from the chat. Someone is asking about Alba Lenatus. I mean, this happened like, I mean, a couple of minutes ago, but I'm not running. I don't think Alba Lenatus is necessary for our our strategy right now. Because yes, of course, at the very beginning you set Albas and then you fuse away the whole board of blue eyes. That's fine, but now everyone knows it. So as soon as like you set one, they will pop it. So I think what we need is Cowstar Source, because with Super Poly, you just fuse away 2 names and then you pop all the back row, and then that's enough.
It's the most game-winning play I've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Super polying a Blue Eyes board in TCG into Chaos Star Source. Like,
Yes,
it is, it's a sight to behold. So I think it's worth it on that alone.
it is.
And like, I think Darwin, shout out to Darwin, who topped UK Nats with UK Open with Brandon. He was on the side where he didn't run the Chaos Star Source because he didn't really value the Blue Eyes matchup. But I think in especially a lot of these builds that aren't running Guardian Chimera and aren't running Borreload Furious Dragon anymore, I think having the Chaos Star Source, you know, just because there's not stun in the meta, I think that doesn't that doesn't mean we immediately cut our popping options. I think having the Chaos Star Source, it's really good to have an option to pop. Like Chaos Star Source is why I go into mostly off of Albaz, especially when I'm running like one Mirror Jade, or if I already have Mirror Jade on board. I think Chaos Star Source is just like one of the best like offensive things you can make with branded fusion, whether it's going second or as an end board piece or layering it. So I just think it's staple for our extra deck now, even like outside of the Super Poly interaction. But you know, maybe you can tell me like, what did you ever consider running the Guardian Chimera or stuff like Borreload Furious, or did you just feel
not
happy?
Anymore.
Yeah,
not anymore. Like,
do you know why
Guardian
people
Chimera requires?
Yeah, why are people cutting? Why would you cut Guardian Chimera? I'm just curious about your mindset on that.
It requires so much resources. Like, you need to, first of all, you need to have a valid name engraved, right? Which maybe if you have banishment, like, or you can go like to any other line to maximize the interruption. Sometimes Chimera is not the right play, especially against some decks, because you need to use 3 different names, right? That it can just might not be the case, or 3 names. Maybe it's better to keep them in rotation. So that's why I'm cutting it. And Borderlord Furious, I was playing it when I was playing the LUD line, because like when Shifter was a 3, Borrowed Fusion and Lubellion, Cartesia, and whichever other strategy for bringing LUD, it was like just too strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I don't think I believe they're not needed anymore. Like, there are better cards like running back Sanctifier, running Garura, running like Starving Venom. I think it pays more in terms of like overall state of the game.
And I like how you also did run the Quertus, and I don't see a Proskinion. What led you to, because we've been seeing like one of the currents with branded recently has been Proskinion since I think like the Mitsurai Zeal variant came out, because people see that as a silver bullet when maybe you go, you know, normal summon a Luber and then like they imperm you and then you chain Super Poly and then you take their detonator with Proskinion. You know, that's a dream scenario, but I don't think it happens nearly enough maybe to like necessitate it being a staple, and we see you not running it. So did you miss the Proskinion? Did you feel like that was something? Did you test with that at all?
No, actually, like, I had a lot of fun one night at locals, because with banishment, it went exactly as you said. Like, I target a Luber and fuse away Detonator and the big Mitsurugi boss monster. That was super fun to bring Proskinion. But out of that, I think, like, my personal and modest opinion, I think Quertis gives more values, because first of all, it put pressure on your opponent. Because if they're not playing a fusion deck, they know that as long as it stays on the field, they cannot go into battle phase, right? Or if they go, they can go like into with less monsters than they have. And then I think in the grind game, it also puts some pressures, because you can pop it like with, I don't know, Mitsurugi boss monster, like whatever else. But then the Quertis brings either Fuem, Albats, Aluber, right? And then this means like either getting back to your resources, or like if you bring Albats, it means like going to Mirror Jet maybe in turn 4, which then it's kind of it's very strong. Like if Mirror Jet is still on the table and active, like at the late stage of the game, it's kind of like a winning condition to me.
Yeah, Mirror Jade's so good in a simplified board state because that card it extends you, builds your board, breaks the board, and I 100% like see why you're running the double Jade, because like it'll come up in some grind game. So I understand that, and then that makes sense on the Perskinion. So I've been back and forth. Like we saw Vasilis run the Quertus plus Perskinion, but then also we saw Mario opt to not run the Quertus and ran a Masquerade instead, which you're siding. I feel like there's a lot of permutations that overall work, but I do think like having that OTK option with Quertus and maybe even as an end board piece is definitely like valuable. It's just one of those things that makes me wish we had a 20 card extra deck. It's the meme with branded, but like maybe society like it would be a perfect society if we had a 20 card extra deck.
Yeah, I mean, if I can be 100% honest with you guys, Dragos Tapelia never came out once, like never. In 9 games, I never use it, never. So
what would you cut that for, or would you ever consider cutting it?
So maybe I would do as was it Mario that moved Masquerade to the main extra deck, right?
Yes.
I think something like him. Like maybe we move Masquerade, we to free one spot in the side deck. It could be good, or the new, what's it called? The new fusion monster that requires one spellcaster and one dragon, and then prevents the opponent to use dragon and spellcaster monsters.
Floodgate Dragon. I forgot what it's called too. It's my gosh.
I mean, Dracotail will be real, right?
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is that card comes out for I don't know about I don't know about the EUW or the Euros, but it comes out for our NAWCQ, that dragon without Dragontail being out. So we can run that as an option, but I'm not sure if that's like something we'll run until Dragontail comes out. Definitely once Dragontail comes out, like you said, we'll be running that card though, because it's like very good on board into Dragontail. Like it says, what is it? Dragons can't activate their effects on like field and graveyard. I'm pretty sure something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, let's see. Like Dracotail will be a big problem, guys. Dracotail and Yummy until like Banky Shokenine will be real. They will be like the best decks, I guess. So let's hope our supports will be strong enough to compensate.
Yeah, like I think Dragontail is a viable engine with branded too, so I think people can look forward to that. I mean, I think pure branded is also fine too, but I see a lot of like, if I see branded doing anything in the OCG right now, it's the Dragontail variant, so it might. It's going to be interesting the effect it has on branded, if it just ends up being Dracotail branded going forward or not. I think Dracotail does give branded a lot better options going second in terms of engine board breaking.
It does.
In engine board breaking is very good in that format. You see a lot of people in the OCG currently only maining like 6 to 9 hand traps, because just having engine plays is a lot more valuable at the moment. Like, if you're going against like Yummy, like having imperm isn't going to do anything. So a lot of these, having, and I think that's like a perfect environment for branded, honestly, because we love having like, if we don't have to run like 15 on engine, that's great. But, I think, as long as we adjust the meta, that format should be fine. Have you thought about that format at all for branded, like things we might have to adjust for, or are you kind of like, are you going to try out the Dracotail branded variant? What do you think about that upcoming Dracotail format?
I think the fact that we can run bestials it will be really helpful because you remove, so especially with Yummy, I guess if you start to remove cards from their graveyard, since all of them are light beasts, if I don't remember wrong, this help to stop their recursion. Then I think it will be a board breaker format because Yummy dies literally to Dark Ruler no more, and running Dark Ruler no more for us is free. Like we don't need to necessarily OTK. We just clear the whole. We wipe the whole board and then we lock the opponent, or we
Yep.
put like Lad. So I think Branded will be a solid option for the incoming months. That our problem so far, it's always the same. We need consistency, especially going first. That's why you see that I'm running Foolish Brutal and Gold Sark.
Just some of our best one card starters that I've seen some people actually opt to cut, which like, yeah, they play into Droll, but also they are literally like they just say like get in a Luber or get to Branded Fusion. So and I think
Yeah,
Foolish plays under
exactly.
Droll too. So I think there's a lot of value in those. Like Gold
Yeah,
Sark is one that like I play with Gold Sark at 2 in Master Duel. That card is like insane. Like that card feels better than a Luber in our deck for the most part. Like
yes,
um
yes.
so, and plus in a grind game, you get that card back. It actually somewhat comes up in some of these scenarios. So, anything you can
Which is crazy.
do.
Like getting back your Mercurial, like it's
Yes,
you
yes.
know self-explanatory. What I would do personally from this deck list, and this is what I'm testing right now. Drop it to 2. 3 sometimes is too heavy. You don't want to see it that much sometimes, and you prefer to have like consistency to play through hand drops. I would definitely cut Magnamut. It's not needed. So I think with 3 Saronir we're fine. And then I'm testing with either a build without Kit, which is kind of because Kit like it's I don't know. I love that card, but at the same time I hate it. I hate it. It's
Really?
another normal summon. Yeah, like it happened to me where I needed to make a choice sometimes which monster to normal summon, right? So suppose that you start with Cartesia Kit or an Aluber, or like some strange combination where you need to choose which way to go. Then yeah, but I think the point is Kit helps with recursion, especially with Branded Fusion at 1. So it's mandatory. And then I can consider cutting Super Poly to 2. So it will be the same list as you see before, without Magnamut, without 1 Super Poly, and without 1 Droplet. And then I will move 3 Droll into the main deck.
Okay, that's interesting. So, like, yeah, for people
Yeah.
wanting looking for like adjustments, I was actually enjoying Droll in the main deck personally. Just it's a high spirit bridge.
Hmm.
That's interesting. You were thinking about cutting the kit because I did see Mario not run the kit. He's not much of a kit believer. I feel like there's like certain hands where you just like kind of need kit in your deck, and if you don't have it, it's not you're kind of crying. But once again, like you said, it's like another normal summon that you can kind of just afford. Maybe not to run in favor of more consistency pieces, right? Because like you would rather see a gold sark maybe over that kit kind of thing or something. So,
Exactly.
there's higher value cards, so that's interesting. I also had someone question the chat. Well, someone asked, or the 15th side deck card was a third evenly matched, and then also someone asked if
Hmm.
the double Guignol actually came up.
Yes, like you need to play double Granguignon, like for sure. It's one. So if you're running the lock, it's mandatory, right? But then, like if even if you're not, it's just so strong. Like it's a bridge into Quem or into Quertis. It can set up your graveyard like for the grind game. Maybe you're able to recycle some of your names, like another Albion, or you recycle again Titan, or you just need you say you know what, I just need 1 draw, I send off Garura, right? Or most of the time, like now you need to play against the effect of the Mitsurugi Bones monster to do Raigeki, right? And then with Granguignol you can send Saronir, which can send like opening to protect. So you kind of need it.
Okay. No, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm very much on that agreement as well. If there are guys, let me know if there's any other questions for Marco in the chat. I also have to ask Marco, what would you mentioned it
Yeah.
before, but like what would you want to see out of the new branded support that we are potentially getting here with the new anime?
So, I mean, of course, before any support, guys, please give us back branded fusion, free branded fusion. Joking apart, I would love to see a fusion that mention Aluber so that it becomes a fusion deployment target, and then these can help us to minimize the problem of having too many normal summons, right? Of course, the best option I think will be a pseudo link one, like something that okay, I got stuck here and there because of entrops, because of interruptions, and then I can just do a phantom Cuban like fusion where I shuffle back monsters to bring a new piece to extend. Or if they don't want to give us a new fusion, they need to give us like some free body, and I'm thinking about LZ of the White Forest, right? You pay the cost and then you special summon one monster for free.
Ooh, I like that.
So yeah, that would be great. Because yeah, Aluber gets stuck, get imperm, that's fine. We extend with, I don't know, the new monster that grab band fusion, and then we can keep continuing.
Now, yeah, no, that's kind of like I would like to see something like that too. I think a contact fuse that's just a bit better than Albalinatus that can get us, somewhere that maybe helps us in the grind game, helps us extend. Definitely
Yeah,
something great. Like I think also maybe getting a fusion that mentions like Quem or Aluber might be good for like fusion deployment purposes, and then like make it
it
the
does.
maybe that could just be the contact fuse that we could reveal or whatever. So
Yeah,
um
yeah,
something like that. Obviously our extra deck is already pretty tight, so I think if they're releasing any extra deck monsters, I think it has to be like a monster that kind of does like 3 effects kind of thing. Yeah, lots of
yes. It must
value in it.
mention the Fallen of Albus. It must mention it because then we can you know we can use better the kit. Who knows? So ideally, it's a level 8. So ideally, like the dream is a level 8 that mention Aluber or Quem, Fairy, and that mention the Fallen of Albus in Grave. Because then it becomes a target for everything. Like you can use it as a target for fusion deployment, right? If it's a Fairy and you hard open two Aluber, one of them become target for Ice Spirits, right?
Oh,
So
I would love if it was a 2500 fairy that actually did something, dude. I've been waiting for a
yeah,
good
yeah.
for a good for a good high spirits
Yeah,
target for a Luber or tragedy, because I just want to go tragedy pitch off of high spirits and just go plus 1,000. Please.
so one time I was desperate and I was playing in the extra deck. How's it called? The fusion level 8 from Melodius, I guess. No, from Shadow, which is the
Yeah.
fairy.
Should all
And then just
construct.
to maximize, yeah, exactly, just to maximize, just to maximize the play for Ice Spirits. But of course, it doesn't pay.
Yes. I've seen like an OCG player who likes to do that sometimes, but I just feel like our extra deck
Yeah,
is a bit too tight, unfortunately, to run that kind of
it is.
luxury. Um,
Yeah, and then Chris, I don't know if you notice it, but I think we definitely need a card to recycle our names in later stage of the games. Because you arrive at a certain point where your graveyard is fully loaded, but your banishment zone as well. And you need to be able to recycle those names, especially from the banishment zone back to grave or back to deck or back to hand. Because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's just hard. Like maybe two albas are there because you're going into really big grind game, especially against Malice. So yeah, that would be
have
the dream.
having an extender when a Luber is stopped is the only thing I ask for, says my man in the chat. Yeah, I think like if we got Verte back, that would do the job, but also if they don't want to like ruin the balance of the game and by bringing back Verte, they could always give branded just quite literally in practice their own Verte, where we could link off a Luber and resolve branded fusion with like a Bestial. I think that would change up deck building by a lot in the TCG, because in the at the moment in Master Duel you can deck build around the fact that you can just Verte through hand traps. Like imperm is not as much of a concern in Master Duel as it is in TCG because of Verte, since you can just go, after you've been impermed on a Luber, you just go pitch Lubellion and make Verte, and then you get three interruptions off the Verte alone. And even into Max C, that's like totally fine. So like that's what I personally want as someone who plays Master Duel, is like our own Verte. But obviously they could just bring back Verte if they want to not print another card. But it would be nice to have a way to convert bodies. Like, I dabbled with branded synchro a lot. I'm not too much of a fan of it ever since Baron and Napo and Puppet have been banned. I mean, mainly Baron and Puppet, I think, made the branded synchro variant a lot more viable. But that concept of like being able to convert your bodies in a way that you couldn't because of branded fusion is really nice. So something like that is what I personally would like to see.
Yeah, me too. Like, the point is we need to have a card that does the job of as you said, like it has 3 effects at least, because then we can cut the non-engine, right? So the engine, so we can play more non-engine that can be hand traps, or they can be board breaker. Even though I don't like play hand traps in branded, like I really don't like. I'm playing Valus just to maximize just to stop the opponent, because sometimes like you need to stop him in some way. You cannot afford him to go full board. Droll, because this is a draw format. I'm also playing White Forest at Zamina, and when you get Droll, like it's tough. And also Mitsurugi, like there are some specific hands where you draw them and they pass with 1 monster is on field and that's it. Nothing else, or 1 negate, but 1 negate it's enough for us to bypass. So
yeah, I think you need Droll. Like Droll's never felt better in branded, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, every time I resolve that card, it's putting in work, and yes, it does neg you, but like the fact, like, a lot of the time at my regional, I was just leaving my opponent on a detonator because I mulch armied them or I drolled them. And for branded, that's like simplified board states is branded players eat in that situation. Like you said, Mirror Jade is just like a monster with very little cards on the board. So like, in the deck board breaks naturally, so it's able to out things with 1 to 2 cards with ease usually. So like, I think very, 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 very well said.
And other touch options for the next formats, especially for Mitsurugi, Free, and Malice, it's the other Preda plant that requires 3 dark monsters. The big guy.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. It's like Triumvirate or something. It's something.
Yeah, some
it's like
strange name.
Triplant.
Yeah. So I actually, it came out like during my testing against Malice, and guys, it was super fun. Like they ended up with the topologic and 2 names. You just go super poly and then you wipe the whole field, and then it's just too strong.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like the Mitsurugi matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good. Also, like, well, would you ever run the World Chalice super poly target for Malice over that, or do you think?
It.
Yeah.
No, I prefer Starving Venom, because now that you make me remind it, you can use Starving Venom. So first of all, when it enters, it can target 1 special summon monsters and then copy the attack, which like one time it saved me from how's it called, Archescott OTK, because Archescott become like 5300 and my Starving Venom was 5800, so that was higher. And then it cannot crush it, because remember, guys, that if in any way Starving Venom is destroyed, if it was fusion summon, then it completely pops the opponent field and it pops special summon monsters, right? So it happens a couple of times that I use Starving Venom, like I go super poly, then I know that like it's not enough, so I crush my Starving Venom against like some big bodies, and then either I force some negate or like whatever, or I literally pop the whole field. So it's kind of like a third Mirror Jade, which put a lot of pressures, like in especially like when you're at game 3, right?
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah, no, that's actually very good advice on that. Uh, yeah, no, for sure. And then also like Starving Venom, just the effect is good. Like it helps you OTK, which is just what you want going second, which is why I definitely think it's worth running. Like I think it like making Garura over Starving Venom, there's like a clear quality difference going second, I think.
It does, yeah. And then the middle effect of Starving Venom is that it can copy the effect of a special summon monsters level 5 or 6 or higher, Mitsurugi, right? You copy the Omni Negate. So basically you also get a Omni Negate in the same turn. So it's really viable.
Oh yeah, wow, that's true too. That's true too.
Yeah. Or like the strangest interaction was like they steal my Mirror Jade with talent. I go into Super Poly, I bring Starving Venom, which became a 5800, and then I target my Mirror Jade on the opponent field to copy the effect to send one for cost and banish without targeting. That was just crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That'd be great. Even a hero can recycle 5 cards now. Yeah, yeah. I feel like one of our new like branded spell traps like just had a banish effect that could just like recycle like 5 cards in our graveyard or banishment. Like, I don't know. That'd just be like so premium. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, that just makes like retribution. I mean, like just bring them back to the deck. They don't have to go back to the hand, obviously. But just having something would be really just so premium for the grind game. It would just be a good quality of life thing for the players who know how to really
Yeah. Or like a
technical play.
fusion that mimics the effect of Shrine, like the for Tierl. That okay to fuse, like which is basically Lubellion. Like it's a Lubellion without pitching, like another way to recycle. That's the main point for me. We need to recycle more than we actually doing.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. I mean, that's always like I think like also set aside like good and like or like veteran and like kind of newer branded players is your ability to like resource manage a lot because you'll see people who just like only run one branded in red and one band like someone was like wondering why I wasn't running double branded in red and someone might be wondering that with your build, but it's like when you know how to grind properly you can usually address those things. But like if you just had a blanket option to help like just grind back those cards into your deck and keep playing like a lot of these modern decks do, it would help a lot even.
Yeah, it does. So what's
Yeah.
your opinion, Chris, on running double branded in red?
Yeah, I mean, double branded in red is cool when I think you're running things like Guardian Chimera. Like when I run Guardian Chimera, I always am like, oh, I wish. Like whenever I run double branded in red, I want Guardian Chimera in my deck. I feel like I don't have like a good second branded in red target when I don't have Guardian Chimera. So that's kind of like why that card isn't really at too much more in my list. I mean, I'm someone who's been kind of the last holdout on Chimera, but even now it's like the super poly targets that this format is necessitating is like taking out that slot for the most part. And now that we have Chaos Star Source, that card's just way more quality in terms of what you want to do. And we don't, it's not like we're running hand traps in branded for the most part outside of like Droll. So like in Master Duel, I value Guardian Chimera a bit more because you can just like literally draw Ash or Maxi in your branded deck off of Guardian Chimera's draws, which is actually kind of viable to just like go for the draw 2 against your opponent in the simplified board state because of that. So like without like better hand trap, like you don't want to draw Fuwalos off of your Guardian Chimera. So
No. And that's why I'm also like speaking about drawing. That's why I'm running 2 Albion and not 3. It's a 50 card build, and when I activate the Albion effects to mill 1 for cost, shuffle back, put back at the bottom of the deck to draw 1, and you draw into another Albion. I just want to leave.
Yeah,
so,
it's basically a neg at that point. So
yeah. So that's why it's a 2. And to be fair, I never miss it 3. Like for me, running 3 Saronir and 2 Albion is the perfect ratio.
I actually I was testing your list for a while, and I did like the double SAR and the double shrouded. That was something I was actually definitely a fan of, and I'm very, and I do appreciate how you were like, yeah, I'll probably take the droplets down to 2 like Mario did, because yeah, I just feel like I said in my deck profile, I just feel like Super Poly is a better card than Droplet, so I never want to see it as much as Super Poly, but also like it feels like you still need to run it. Like I saw Vasily's list not run Droplet, and I'm just not sure as like a brand, like I feel like that card is just like, so it's not free and branded, but it goes very well into what you want to do with branded. So at least having it as an option to go, like, you know, at the regional, I at least 2 or 3 times I just went like normal summon a Luber, they went imperm, and I just droplet their board and they lose on the spot because they lost their imperm and their 2 negates on board. Yeah. So I think it still has its place and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like one of the plays that I love the most is, I don't know, you have any normal spell, like say Fusion Deployment, chain 1, chain 2, either Ice Spirits or Opening, chain 3, like this actually happened once, chain 3 Saronir target, because the target, when you're targeting with Saronir, even if it resolves, even if Saronir doesn't enters on the field, then it still banishes, and then you go Droplet. Super nice, super fun.
Yo, thank you for the
like,
raid.
You maximize all possible. Nice, super fun.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say thank you for the raid. We just got a raid for 40 people from YV Soul. I appreciate it. Thank you, YV. How you doing? Yes, we're right now interviewing Marco, who got top 32 with branded Despia over at the Dutch Nationals, and we were just kind of discussing branded and where it is in the meta. So yeah, we're a Yu-Gi-Oh channel and all that fun stuff, so appreciate the raid. Shout out to all the new people in the chat. Yeah, sorry for interrupting you, Marco. I just wanted to
no worries. No worries. So then I remember someone was asking you, Chris, if it was worth to run Ash Blossom, right?
Yeah, I do get that question a lot, and I feel like it just literally comes down to how much like utility you can get out of it. I think in a format like TCG where there's only Mulcharmy to really like Ash Blossom, and then when you look at Ash Blossom as a prospect, as a card that you want going second, I don't think there's a lot of value in that. I don't think a single Ash Blossom is really going to do much. Like you need, like, it's kind of like this has been said a million times by all your favorite like Yu-Gi tubers, but like you need like kind of multiple hand traps in this kind of format to stop people a lot of the time, and that's why I feel like people are going to more of the floodgate hand traps, because you only need one of those a lot of the time instead of 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So without a thing like Max C in the format, I don't think Ash has really any place in branded, and hasn't had really any place in branded. Like I think when branded Brand Fusion first came out, people were probably running Ash in there. I didn't play at the time, but I feel like there's probably enough main deck space to do it. But like ever since then, there's, I think, a reason why people have not been running Ash in branded in the TCG. There's just no real reason for it. For the most part, you can usually, the end boards have been, you know, fine enough where you can use your board breakers, play into it. You know, we're more recently getting to, I mean, obviously there's like FTK decks, and there's always been, that's always just like a factor, but now that we're getting more away from those things, I don't think, you know, when Beatrice FTK was a thing, I think I mained Ash Blossom in my deck, because I felt like you had to actually run like 12 hand traps in branded. That was such a cursed format, because playing branded when you have no hand traps against the best deck, which can FTK, it was, I don't know why I participated in my nationals that year playing branded, but hey, all I'm saying is my man Marat, shout out to Marat Ergany, he got top 16 with branded that event, so he made it work.
Yeah, it did. But so my personal take on branded is that whenever the meta consolidates and there are those, I don't know, 2 to 3 to 4 best decks, like we can fit our board breakers and our, for instance, super poly targets, like to account for those decks, right? For instance, now we are playing Serving Venom, right? We are playing super poly. Maybe in the next format we cut down Super Poly to play, I don't know, Dark Ruler no more. So this is kind of the flexibility we can have. And I was also considering to play blind going second version.
Really?
Which is kind of
That's pretty
crazy.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw, but there was a blind going second branded player. I believe it was it YCS? I believe it was YCS. No, it wasn't Houston. It was Orlando. Shout out to Dapper Despia, but he was like the round 4 feature match. My man had a suit and like the coolest fedora ever on. He was really styling on everybody, and he was playing blind going second branded. And I actually got to talk to him the game before his feature match. It was hilarious. He came up to me. He was like, yo, I love your channel, and like I just wanted to tell you I'm here with blind going second branded. I was like, yo, that's the goo. And he ended up unfortunately queuing into Mermail, literally the worst matchup for that variant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
besides that, I think that variant has actually it's quite viable if you just don't queue into Mermail. Also have a good night, YV Soul.
That's the point. Like, we don't have targets for mermaids, right? Like, the only one time I used Super Poly against mermaid was Albus with one of their monster with attack greater than 2500 to bring it like Titan, but that's it. Like, or if it's like I don't know, in a later stage of the combo, you can bring like Mirror Jade, but usually they won't let you arrive to that point.
Unfortunately not. I mean, that's why like Mud Dragon kind of also not being, you know, there's just not enough room for Mud Dragon sometimes hurts in some of these matchups, because Mud Dragon I think would be a pretty good super poly target there. But once again, it's like if they're hand ripping you, you're already not having a good time. So
Exactly.
That's why I think like Droll, Fua very much just like kind of required cards in the branded main deck, and that can like I think like Droll 2, I was talking about this before, I don't think is the worst into Malice game 1. Like if you have to draw a Malice player, like they at least won't do their draw 5 and then you can deal with their end board with like a super poly in theory. So like obviously it's way better for the Mitsurugi matchup though, because that card it forces them to end on a single Murakamo or a detonator if they're lucky. So
yeah, exactly. And actually it's interesting because now, so Malice player says, "Yo, yeah, we got Ignister. If you Lancia," I was like, it does nothing. That's not true. All the time I drop Lancia, they were passing with set 2 and one monster, if any. But the point is, when they go into the Ignister combo under Lancia, if you do Lancia Droll, then it's super strong because they add and then they stop. You just stop there. You just stop them there. They cannot do much more. They cannot overextend, and they cannot add like other cards. They cannot use any other affected adds. So Droll, it's viable also against Malice in some weird situation.
Yeah, that's true too. And I mean, I think it just being a high spirits bridge also helps it just being more utility. Like that's just like higher quality cards. That's why like I'm very dubious on like maining Perulia sometimes, because it's just like not a high spirits bridge, but it worked out for me. But you know, it is like teach their own. I think like cards like Perulia can get dangerous in deck building, especially with branded, when it's just like dead after a game or like the first turn essentially. So I think there are probably higher quality cards to run, but I don't know. I have so much Mermail around me. I feel like I'm forced to run things like Perulia. Like,
okay,
yeah,
that is different. So about Mermail, like I was thinking, like so I'm modifying my side deck, and as I told you, I moved Droll to the main, remove Jitmech, and remove Evenly for 2 fusion duplications, 3 sales bands, one Duster, 2 Lightning Storms, because I mean the back row now for the best deck is big. And then I was thinking to give a chance again to Diddy Crow, because you know
Diddy
against
Crow.
Mermail, yeah, because against Mermail, like which is one of our worst matchup, if they go like into something that sends Dragoon to grave. And on the same chain, you chain Diddy Crow and you banish the Dragoon. They cannot activate Dragoon. And this is kind of hard for them. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a good choice. I'm still testing around. But yeah, that is one card that I'm considering.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, it's a high spirits bridge. It is a dark for the allure formats, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, it is stuff to consider. And that actually brings me, I guess I should ask you about allure. Was that something you tested at all, or is that just an effect of just like Droll and Lockbird not or being in the format more?
I was testing it. I was testing a list very similar to Vasilis with both the Charmy and Allure. But I don't know. There were games where you need to open Allure, right? And then you get drolled, and then that's it. So I prefer to get the consistency from again the two foolish burial and gold rather than allure. But I think as soon as droll will become like either a side deck card or like not like it won't have that much space for the decks in the decks, then it's a solid option, of course. Like you go branded opening, tragedy, and then banish with allure, then you basically draw 3. Super strong.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like it's kind of like a weird card into Droll. Like sometimes it's good, especially if you have like, you know, if you have opening, if you have like high spirits, it's like usually fine, but that's not always the case. So like I see why people are
Yeah,
definitely like cutting it and things like
yeah.
that.
And I see in the chat that someone asked about Adlib. Um, it's I love playing Mirrorjet Turbo when you when you use Mirrorjet like 2 to 4 times per turn. But now if like let's suppose that like I'm playing again against Wet Forest and I got double Charmy plus Ash on Branded Fusion, then without the lock and I would not win. If you substitute in this list, if you substitute the Adlim with the Ido, then it's not enough to me. Like it gives you back Mirror Jade. It gives you like some very nice interactions, but it's not enough. Like they're playing like I got in one game I got double Charmy one turn, then the next turn it dropped how's it called Meowls.
Yeah.
This in 2 consecutive turns, right? So you need to lock it in that case. Otherwise, like it's just game. They draw too much.
That's actually a really good point where it just comes down to, because a lot of people are like, you know, lock is incorrect, and I feel like you're kind of taking a tool out of your like shed that you can use in those situations where like you are most likely just not gonna win if they like, you know, double triple charmy you, like I was kind of saying before. So yeah, like having that option is good, whether like it's even in your side deck. Even like I'm currently just siding it, but you know, it's also something that I think is, you know,
Yeah,
whether it's definitely a good option to have, whether you want to run it or not. Um, Titan
yeah.
Fit,
I
branded.
mean, the lock is just so there are I guess like in my let's say modest opinion, I saw many different branded players. There are the toxic players where they, especially when we had the gimmick puppet, they were just doing that. So basically, it's either the opponent sees any sort of graveyard interruptions like bestials, DD Crow, whatever, called by, or they just lock. And that was extremely toxic. But the power of the lock is that you do, suppose you go uninterrupted, like no interruptions, you do a very layered board where you force all the interruption that the opponent has, like board breakers like Droplet or whatever, on like Mirror Jade, Quem, Albats, and then once they run out of resources, you lock them at the very end, not at the very beginning. This in an ideal, of course, in an ideal scenario. Then this layer of complexity reduces. depending on how many hand traps they fire at you. Because of, again, like 2 Charmies, 2 Veilers, or like 2 Charmies, 1 Ash, 1 Veiler, like there is nothing you can do.
That's actually a really good point I was like thinking of the other day, because yesterday when I was locking, the only time I ever actually locked when I wasn't under Molcharmy was like in like turn 3 or 4 or 5, where I was already grinding, and like I finally was able to get to a Grand Wignall that wanted to send an Ido, but like it was never like I think if you're just like blind rushing the lock, you are probably playing branded incorrectly. It should be much more of like a layered interaction that you use into the situations where it is good. Or else you're just gonna lose to just like random called buys and just give up advantage that you would ever elsewise have. So that's actually a really
But this is the same for Lad. This is the same for Lad. Like, you suppose that you do exactly the same end board, but with the setup for going instead for the lock for Lad. Sometimes if you fire Lad like immediately, and your opponents are still like 5, or maybe you made it draw 1, like 6 cards in hand, then they can out Lad very easily.
Yes.
Like running, like I think running Lad is even more difficult than running the lock, because you really need to understand the right spot when to summon it. Otherwise, you just lose Lubellion, Ladion, or whichever other names you're using, and then you lose you lose the Lad Omni negates. So
no, I think that's actually like that is a good point too. They both have their ups and downs on in terms of that, because like with Lad, I think there's like sometimes like I like doing it when my opponent is on like a few cards in hand, because they already hand trap me. That's where I think Lad is best, where like your opponent already hand trapped you like twice, and then they start their turn on like four cards, and then it's basically impossible with that math to like out the Lad and then also establish a board.
That's the definition. Like, suppose they draw like I don't know, they have 2 cards in hand, then you go Lad, then that's it. Like, you have as many negation as their card in hand, so they cannot out you unless they have like some really magic draw to out the Lad.
If you're not locking, you're behind. That's crazy, Magic Geek. Yeah, no, that covers a lot of really. Most decks run a ton of 3-ofs unless your opponent's go draws 1 of each. You can run. You can just take the Fua challenge with your board and end up windowing ease. Anyways, I think he was talking about something else. Yeah, no, Magic Geek agreed. Most of the time I forget I even play the lock, and the only times I shotgun the lock is at IDK how to play in the matchup, or if I was forced into the line through interruption or brick. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, once again, I just like, yeah, I think branded players. That's why I think like learning to play without the lock is actually kind of an important stepping stone for people, because then they can like learn what else the deck does, and then you can come back, put in the lock, and be like, okay, now we know like how to play all aspects of the deck and stuff like that. Because when I first started with branded, I think like I picked up branded essentially when the Gimmick Puppet lock started, so like I was very much just like, wow, this is the best thing ever, and it was at the time. But I think like having the ability to know what branded does outside of that is very important, and I highly recommend like, you know, people checking out combos without that. You know, I think that's, you know, I really like,
of course,
a non-puppet video because of that. But that's also like, it is, once again, I just completely disagree with the wholehearted sentiment of people being like, oh, like locking is incorrect or locking is like bad, when I think it's just like a good tool to have for branded. So
of course, man, if you drop Dominus Impulse, the least I can give to you is a lock. The least.
Oh really?
I really hate the card.
Yeah, no. My one friend who was raging out at the regional yesterday because he got just Dominus Impulse turboed the whole day on live twin. Like, that card is insane. I would not doubt if we saw like Dominus Impulse maybe get hit one day, because it is, and this is even as a branded player, I think it like a lot of decks are just going to realize over time how good that card is into their deck, and the fact it doesn't turn you off from using the best attribute in the game, which is dark, is kind of crazy in my opinion.
In Malice, it's a free card for Malice. Literally, it's I don't know. It's as if they're running an Ash Blossom. Like for them, it's free. So yeah. Sorry guys, I got emotional when we talk about Dominus Impulse.
I think that yeah, I mean I think that should probably that's probably a good cap on the conversation. I appreciate you coming on, Marco, and spending your time going over your list and then also discussing Branded in general. This will be re-uploaded as a video for everybody to watch if they didn't catch the whole discussion, because I felt like there was a lot of really good tips and just like discussion points for the format. So once again, do really appreciate it. Is there anywhere people can check out your stuff, Marco, or any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
No, unfortunately, I will upload my list on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. And shout out, guys, shout out to Chris first. I've been watching his videos since years now. I also bought the spreadsheet, and you should support your community. So please support your favorite content creators. And then shout out to my friends in Amsterdam that just sent me a message where I was making fun of them, like say, "Oh, neither of us will make A2." So shout out to Milos, and yeah, thank you everyone, and thanks again, Chris, for inviting me.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Marco, and once again, it was a pleasure. We'll definitely have to have you back on in the future to talk more Branded once that new support comes out, and then we can compare what our what our thoughts or what our predictions are.
Whenever you want, brother.
All right, sounds good. I hope you have a great rest of your day and feel better, please.
Okay, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye. All right, so that was Marco, guys. Shout out to Marco. That was a wonderful conversation on Branded. That was a high level conversation. that was a good branding cast, impromptu branded cast. So, all right, that was fun. That was fun. Is there? Let's see if there's a video that we can watch in the meanwhile while we take a little bit of a intermission. If there's any branded content that we can watch, let's see if there's a new Stigmata video. We do love our Stigmata content. Oh yeah, oh no. My keyboard's not working. That's because I had the headset on and I don't have another cord for it, but hope everyone's doing well. Literally lost my voice today. Oh no. Thank you for your sacrifice, Marco. Top 8, what do you mean? Shout out to you, Alex D. How's it going, Zeridium? By the way, people complaining about branded locking, I don't hear nearly as much when Malice does it, just saying. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. They had like the Griffin ban, but at least they banned that shit pretty. They banned that stuff really early. All right. So I believe there is Stigmata Yu-Gi-Oh! Branded. Shout out to Stigmata. Here's him reviewing his viewers' branded gameplay. I'm not sure if there's like commentary. Okay, there's like text commentary. That's kind of cool. Shout out to Stigma. Go check out his YouTube channel if you haven't already. He makes great branded content over on Master Duel. He comes on around the chat sometimes too, so. Was Marco top 8? He was top 32. We love the 800 life point comeback.
Bro, what the hell is that? You could have chained red to mirror Jade banishing Lovely, while they can't respond under Lost. Grabbing Shrouded to fuse away Lubellion and Shrouded into Dragonlord, putting their final set on check. I'd have slaughtered you if this was Equation Cannon, but fortunately it wasn't. Well played and good job.
I'm guessing Chris already talked about his regional run. Yeah, I did. It will be re-uploaded though as a separate VOD though. So if you are looking for like that kind of content, just look out for that tomorrow. Good reading the situation. When you sent Max C, you should always send Albion with spirits instead of Titanclad to end on additional interruption without further more special summoning. This is a really good point. Yeah, if you get like Max Seed or Fua, you should like high spirits send Albion. So that was an insane conversation y'all were having during the podcast. I can't lie. That y'all were like kind of going back and forth about I don't even know. It was just like the format. All right, so we got half hour left before I'm gonna get off, guys. So what do we want to do for the rest of it? We could watch the rest of the Stigmata video. I could do one game, just talk with chat. Gonna be a little bit of a shorter of a Monday live stream, unfortunately, but it was really good. Like that conversation with Marco, great. We got the deck profile out for the regional list, great. They waste your 3 Omni Negates and then your Lad screws you. I mean, that's the thing, though. I think, like, Lad, it's kind of like what we said. I think there's just, like, a time and place for Lad. There's a time and place for locking. That's just, like, the important part of Branded to know, you know, when you should send Albion, when you should send Titanclad off of the high spirits. Like, it's a lot of 50-50s with Branded, honestly, and decision-making depending on the context, right, of everything. Like, I think when you have Super Poly Droplet or Cartesia on board, I think, like, Lad is just fine, especially with Mercurier, because then you'll just fuse off the Lad, make a Stapelia or a Chaos Star Source, and you'll still be able to resolve the Mercurier. Baby Otter, that's the most vocal I've seen you get in the chat in a while. Someone must have really... RJ's take must have really rubbed you the wrong way. Have a good one, EPA. Thanks for coming by. Also, I do appreciate everyone who came through from the raid before, by the way. If you guys want to follow, we do stream every week. So, do appreciate it, guys. See, like, Nib is also another hand trap in Branded. I kind of like 2 to draw off a Max C, but once again, like, without Max C being in the format, or, like, Chimera, rather, I'd like to draw off of Chimera. I don't know. I just don't feel like Nib is good enough without, like, because you need another hand trap in the TCG for Nib to be even relevant. Currently in Master Duel, it's not quite that bad, but it will be once Malice and Ryzeal come out. I just wanted to know quickly if you played Chimera or not, especially when the other days you were talking to the guys who top Greek Nats about how you still like it. I did not run it overall. I just went with the fact that I needed the other super poly targets more, and Chimera just doesn't, like, with one brand in red doesn't come up enough. It is something, it would 100% be my 16th extra deck card, HT Nash. And I might still try to find ways to run in the future, but in particular at that event, the Guardian Chimera I did not miss it. Vanquish Soul Canine's very fun. Yeah, that deck actually makes me want to play Vanquish Soul, to be honest. I'm not saying I'm gonna, but definitely looks way more fun than the first incarnation of Vanquish Soul, which, you know, I thought was already pretty interesting, but I think the fact that Canine stuff really gives it, like, the oomph it needs is very important. Yeah, if anyone missed anything today, we're gonna have 2 separate videos. One for the deck profile for my regional run, and one with the interview with Marco. They'll be separate. I feel bad for the people who already watch the stuff on the live streams. I do appreciate everyone who comes here live. You guys get to see it here first and experience, you know, the other moments that don't get to the videos. But I do feel like there's such a contingent of people that sometimes I feel bad if I don't re-upload it as a VOD, that because I know they just don't have the time to watch it live, or the VOD doesn't get to their sub box, or the live stream, or, you know, it's like a 5-hour live stream. You're expecting people to just click through, get to the specific part. Like, that's why they get re-uploaded as VODs. Maybe one day if I have, like, a clip channel, like, I have a second channel, but not enough people, like, know about it to where I'm, like, gonna start uploading all my stream clips over there. So maybe one day. AK, what deck I'm gonna build next? Was thinking about Sky Striker, VS K9, or Dragon Rulers. I mean, I think Dragon Rulers need a little bit more support, but they're very fun. Just a friendly debate on which format was worth between Snake Eye and this one. I think it's definitely Snake Eye format was worse, but also it depends because there's certain variants of Snake Eye format that I thought were fine. Like, I think before Fiendsmith came out, Snake Eye was fine. Obviously, Apo was annoying, but... I'm getting all three engines. I do play for a team and do have to remain competitive, but I do believe the better engine is K9, followed by Dracotail, and Yummy is just baby tier. Well, I mean, it just depends. Like, what is the best deck? The best pure deck out of those are probably K9 or Dragontail. The best engine is by far K9. Like, K9 can be splashed into every single deck as an engine, right? Everyone can run 3 and one of the guys that summon the rank 5 on your opponent's turn. That's your you can call your deck a K9 deck, right? Even though it's just a gamma package. Or you could go further down that line, but like I think Vanquish Soul K9 does go a little bit harder into they run a bit more K9 cards. The only problem I have with VS is I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money on it. Yeah, are the VS cards really expensive now? I bet, unfortunately. I remember when they were cheap as hell, but that's just kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh cycle. I mean, obviously, who predicted that Vanquish Soul was gonna get better this soon? Like, it was on the Nationals playmat last year, so I guess we should have known it was gonna come out sooner than later. %, the best pure deck is 100% Dracotail. They are bought the core. Yeah, no, 100%. I sold my VS core last year. Worst mistake of my life. Oh, rip. You sold it at the low probably, too. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh moment, right? That's like the beauty of this game. Sometimes you get those W's. You're like, oh, I got this card early before it went up. And, you know, then you have those situations. It happens. It's just Yu-Gi-Oh. But I do hope you are able to find the core for a not, you know, murderous price. Murderous to your wallet. The relevant parts of the VS engine totals to about 180 last time I checked. Oh, that's what you meant by 180 on the deck core, says Baby Otter. You also have Luna Light just in case. Yeah, Luna Light, I was talking to that about my friends who I went to the regional with yesterday, how the Luna Light cards are actually going to probably do something over here. And the thing is that Branded has outs to it because Mirror Jade just outs their towers. Like, Luna Light was a really good engine, apparently, when I was not playing the game, and between, like, 2017 and 2022, I've been told that Luna Light was an extraordinarily good engine, that Luna Light Tiger used to go infinite. Like, I heard, like, anything with, like, Luna Light Tiger, or, like, any 2 cards, like any card plus Luna Light Tiger, like any extender or whatever, just, like, made anything. Are the alt arts in Master Duel already? They're coming out, I believe, next week. They might be out already, but if not, it's like very soon. They release tomorrow, hype. People just scoop on Edo Pro when I try to play it because you have so much gas on their turn. See, that's the crazy part about Yu-Gi-Oh deck building now. Konami is getting really good with their deck design where, like, your decks do more on your opponent's turn now. So you're not like making giant fuck you end boards, but they're very interactable and still end up being almost as much, if not more, than what we're doing right now. What's funny though is the yummy end board still gets cracked to a dark ruler. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the rest of my QCR dark rulers before, like, I don't even see in the OCG being that ran, but like it'll still be a nice option, I think. Yeah, Lunalight FTK was a deck, and it was so consistent. Yeah, I remember I was listening to a Stevie Blunder video, I think, and he said like he was just playing like Lunalight FTKs like his one like remote regional top. I'm like, wow, that sounds very. I'm so glad I was not playing Yu-Gi-Oh during then. Like, I wish I hadn't gone out of Yu-Gi-Oh, but then when I hear formats like that, I'm like, I just wouldn't have had a place in a format like that, especially without branded being a thing. And like Construct was still banned. Yeah, like that's why like when Construct got banned, that was like branded fusion getting banned for me. It was really hard, and then I picked up Monarchs, and then Monarchs were bad after they nerfed it, and then other stuff like that. And Monarchs was a toxic deck anyway. I just had to run the toxic version because I was a broke college kid. Picked up my VS Core for like 100. This was Snake Eye format. Would have been my favorite deck if branded wasn't so Gucci. What did I study in college? Legal stuff. I mean, my associate's in paralegal, and then I have like half a bachelor's in legal studies that I have to finish, but currently having issues with like the financial aid, so haven't really had time to sort that out. I wanted to go to law school, and like I can still do that. I started actually working in that field, and then I just ended up not liking it because the actual day-to-day is not what I want to be doing. I mean, obviously I can just like go to other do other things. And that's probably the play because I'm, I really liked history as a kid, and then after high school I got like really into politics, which I'm not so much into anymore. It's just not worth it to me. But and that comes from my history background. Understandable. I'm kind of on the verge of just dropping out to not deal with the stress of it. Luckily, being a chef doesn't require a degree, just a couple of $40 certificates you've got to take a test for. Yeah, I didn't know you were... Okay, so you're also in college. What are you in college for? Magic Geek. I think you might have mentioned it before. It's not sticking. Not worth having a job anymore. Just stay home and chill. I mean, I still want to... That's why I feel like I still need to actually go back to college and, like, finish my bachelor's and, like, have another, like, kind of job. Because I have my other job that I work, like, I'm a caretaker for my father. But that's not, like, anything serious, like, in terms of money. And then, like, I've never looked at YouTube like a job and will never do that. So, we're just, you know, I still have to do... You know, that's why I'm kind of in limbo with college, trying to figure that out so I can actually finish that. And then figure out something from there that I actually enjoy. Because I originally wanted to become like a video game designer, and then I figured out it was all coding, and I don't like coding.
Because they have many.
And now that AI is just doing coding now, I'm glad I didn't go down that rabbit hole, frankly. I feel like I missed that gold rush. I mean, obviously I don't think like it's gonna replace coders, but... Then also I just like stopped playing video games for like a while, so that like kind of got me out of the idea of becoming a video game designer. My bachelor's isn't doing shit for me, only making 22 an hour, says Illuminati Magic. That's actually fair. See, that's just another thing. Like, if I just, like, is it even worth it to go back to college for, like, 2 years, finish my bachelor's, right? Because if I don't have a... It feels like if there's not, like, a career that, like, is associated with that bachelor's that you can get out the gate pretty decently easily. I don't know. I mean, some places do just be looking for bachelors, though, which is funny. As just, like, a prerequisite for some reason, as if, like, you can't prove your indemnable qualities outside of just, like, a yes or no, I have this bachelor's degree or not. The thing is like, I did college because it was, like, free for me. And then I'm having issues now with financial aid, so that's why I'm not going to college, because I'm not going to pay for college. So. I just got a raise at work. I hate college, dropped out twice. Yeah, I mean, I also did not really enjoy college. Maybe it's because I went to a community college, but, like, and I'm also a shy person, but, you know, did not talk to a single person the whole time I was at college outside of just, like, a couple highs or here or there. So, like, it just wasn't that. It's just, like, really whatever experience. And then COVID happened, so I think, like, the last couple of my classes were, like, remote. Congrats on the raise, by the way. I'm not going to college mostly because of the crazy tuition, the fact that I don't want to go into debt at the start of my life. Yeah, that's, like, 100% fair, and a lot of the time, like, a lot of the people making a lot of money are just, like, doing things that are not associated with their bachelor's degree, like you hear all the time. So I think, like, the name of the game is having, like, multiple income sources and, like, you know, doing your, you know, your thing online, because, like, so much stuff is, like, based online. So I mean, I do have the website now, and that's just, like, that's, like, really random on, like, how it does. And once again, I just, like, will never look at this as, like, because, like, most of the money I even get from this, I just, like, put back into the channel. I try to as much as I can, whether it's, like, cards or just, like, equipment for the channel or just, like, going to events and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I definitely need to figure out my other situation. But I won't lie, like, this caretaker job is, like, somewhat new. So, like, it's been nice having that. Are there ghost ogres in this goddamn deck? All right. So I'm going to get off, guys. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Thank you all for coming through. I'm running up on my time, so thank you all for coming through. Check out the VODs once I re-upload them. They'll be edited up so they're fancy and all that fun stuff. Do appreciate everyone coming through. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. What's up, Unexplored YG? I see you coming in there. They're currently dual incumbent. No kids. It's still hard. Yeah, exactly. Like, I can't even imagine kids right now. All right. Have a